Good evening, my dear students. Welcome to today's session. And I can see that Parth, Anchal, they have already joined the class. So quickly, students, please join the class. We need to continue with our chapter number 9, which is audit of items of financial statements. And before starting with this chapter, I just want to ask you whether you are devoting your time towards, learning the keywords, the definitions, and the questions the way you have been told. Okay? So please follow the techniques which are shared with you in these sessions. These are definitely going to help you in your examinations. Okay? So I can see Pooja, Sandeep are also joining. So Parth is saying that he has already summarized the topics which we have done so far in this chapter, so that's good part, and I should expect the same from other students also. Okay, so this chapter, it may appear to be very lengthy, but believe me students, once you make a summary or once you highlight the keywords in the book that I mentioned in the book, this chapter will be going to be a cakewalk for you people. Very scoring chapter. Okay, so in the last session we were discussing borrowings. I have just touched upon borrowings. So today we'll be doing borrowings in detail. Okay, so you all have told me various of the client. So many of you said agreements, then in case of debentures, you said debenture trustee, minutes of the meetings. If related party loans are there, then there will be certain requirements, audit procedures to be performed by the auditor. Then many of you said that confirmation can be taken. Then the purpose for which the loan has been taken should be used. The borrowing has been taken should be used for that purpose. Lease and a hire purchase, they are also kind of borrowings. And then a bifurcation as to what are short term and long term. Okay. So now we'll do one thing. We will be just a minute. So we will be doing the borrowings in detail today. Okay. So I told you that what are liabilities. So liabilities are the financial obligation except for what? The owner's funds. And it includes your current liabilities, borrowings, trade payables, provisions. And in this topic, we are particularly reading about borrowings. Okay? Borrowings are what? These are monies which are made available using external sources like the bank loans, like the debentures or the public fixed deposits. Okay? So if an auditor has to verify with respect to the existence of borrowings, that is so much of the borrowings, be it in the form of loan from bank or from financial institution or any debentures that have been issued. So what, in order to see the existence, what all audit procedure the auditor will have to perform. Okay? So I'll again show you with respect to this topic also as to how to summarize, and while summarizing we'll be understanding. So first of all, as all of you have told me that the minutes of the board meeting is required to be verified. Okay? Why? Because if any new loan has been taken, then the same should be authorized, right? And any significant debt commitments should be what? These should be approved by the board of directors. So what can be the debt commitments, like the interest rate, the repayments, the redemption, in case of debentures? So these should be approved by the board of directors. So how you will be writing the answer? That the auditor needs to verify the minutes of the board meeting in order to see as to whether if any new loan has been taken up, so the same should be authorized by the appropriate authority. Further, the significant debt commitment should be approved by the board of directors. Okay? And second thing that you told me was what? The recorded loans, that is whatever is coming in your financial statement, in the financial statement of the clients, it should agree with the agreement. If there is a loan, then with the loan agreement, the terms, the interest rate, the repayment, and whatever has been recorded, they should all what? Tally. And the borrowings limits, if any, which has been mentioned in the agreement that itna amount will be given, so this should not be exceeded. They should not be exceeded. ठीक है? So अभी तक we have seen कि minutes देखना है. Minutes से related we have seen that if any new loan has been taken, then it needs to be authorized. If the significant debt commitments, I gave you example of what? Interest rate, repayments, है ना? If any security has been given, so these all should be approved by the board of directors. The recorded loan should tally with the terms of the agreements, and it should not exceed the borrowing limits. Okay? And then with respect to the various loans from the banks or the financial institutions or various parties, balance confirmation. Quickly tell me the SA number with respect to balance confirmation. What should I mention here? I need answers. So balance confirmation can be taken with respect to all the loans. Okay? Further, with respect to leases and hire purchase, since these are also kind of borrowing only, so the underlying contracts should be perused by the auditor. I need your answers. Balance confirmation, SA number, please students quickly send in your replies. So Pooja is saying that, ma'am, I'm following your technique. Summary is done in notes, but I'll do summary in second time module. Okay. So whatever way you summarize, it should be clear to you. Okay. So quickly tell me the SA number. So it is what? SA 505. Balance confirmation. Try to, link these previous chapters also. This way you will be able to, revise. Okay? And then in case debentures are issued, quickly tell me the first document that the auditor will be verifying. The debenture. Quickly tell me, I need your answers. Yes, so the debenture trust deed. Okay? And again, whether the terms, the date of redemption, are there any borrowing restrictions which has been mentioned in what? Trust deed. ठीक है? उसके बाद whether there has been compliance with the covenants. So what is covenants and what is meant by borrowing restrictions? I'll just tell you. So covenants is a formal name for what? Agreement terms. So whatever are the terms which has been mentioned in the agreement, or you can say the trust deed here, whether that has been complied with or not. Okay? Further, are there any borrowing restrictions? It might happen that in the debenture trust deed, it has been mentioned that now, since you have issued debentures to us, there may be a clause which says that further the company cannot issue debentures for a further 2-year period. Okay? So it may mention that the company cannot go into mergers and acquisitions. Okay? So what are these borrowing restrictions? So whether these have been complied with. So with respect to debentures, auditor will verify the debenture trust deed. He needs to look at the terms. The terms means the interest, the repayment, the date of redemption, the borrowing restriction, and compliance with the various covenants. And again, tell me, how will I be in a position to know that all borrowings have been properly accounted for in the books of accounts? Everything has been shown in the balance sheet. What can I obtain from the management? Quickly, I need answer along with the SA number. Send in your replies. What is my query? That how can I assure that all liabilities that has been shown, they represent a valid claim? Kisse I'll confirm, and how, under which essay? Quickly. So it is what? Written representation in terms of SA 580. So written representation can be taken from the management as to management whether you have whatever liability you have shown is a valid claim on the organization. ठीक है. Further, see, these all are the points. Correct. Written representation. And Riya, with respect to your query, abhi tak I haven't received your query. I'll be receiving it in a day or two, then I'll reply to you. Okay? So, with respect to, where was I? So, see, all these points are what? All these points are the points that you told me yesterday. I'm just writing them in the formal language. Okay? If you can see board meetings, minutes, then agreements, then you also balance confirmation, leases का भी किसी ने point बोला था, debentures से भी related बोला था. So these are the same points. Okay? So it means that you are now in a position to write answers on your own. But yes, first of all, you will have to look at the language that is expected out of you. How can that be possible? You need to go through your modules. Okay? So then auditor will what? He can obtain a schedule of what? Short term and long term debt. He can ask the management that management, please provide me with the opening balances, any new loan that has been taken, any retired, any repaid debt, and the closing. Okay? He can always obtain a schedule of the short term and the long term. And see, with respect, when he sees that there is a new loan, now you all know how can a new loan be checked? Examining the minutes of the meeting, same, then the contract copies or the agreements, then confirmation from banks or the financial institution. Simple. Okay? Further, whatever balance is coming in the books of accounts, he will trace that balance. He'll compare that balance with the balance that is appearing in the schedule. So I can say trace the closing balance that is coming in your books of account with the closing balance that is coming in your schedule. Okay? Further, in case any loan has been taken, any fresh loan, if any fresh loan has been taken near the balance sheet date, so auditor will have to see whether that loan will be accounted for in this year or the next year. So with respect to any fresh loan near the balance sheet date, auditor will have to extend his audit procedures in order to see whether the same has been reflected in the current accounting period. Okay? So this was all about what? Existence and completeness. And now with respect to the direct confirmation procedures. Direct confirmation procedures with respect to loans. See, it is very simple. You are asking the banks or the financial statement that please tell us what all borrowings are there. So first of all, obtain a balance confirmation with respect to all the borrowings that are appearing in the financial statement in the balance sheet, and ask all information. What all will be included in all information? That what is the interest rate? Is any security being given? What is the repayment terms? All these things can be asked in the confirmation letter. Okay? Further, whatever responses you get to the confirmation, if there are any differences, so ask the management to provide you with the reconciliations, and whatever supporting documents they are providing to you, check them in detail. Simple, very logical. Direct confirmation procedure kaise hoga? Ask the confirmation from the banks or the financial institution with respect to all the borrowings, and ask all information like the interest rate, the repayment, everything. Okay? One more point, if let's say no replies are received, then send reminders. You all have done this in SA 505. Send reminders. And the responses, if there are any differences, ask the management to reconcile the same and check the supporting document in detail. This was about the direct confirmation procedure. Now with respect to valuation of borrowings. Valuation. Okay? So first of all, if you remember, I told you that whenever valuation comes, the auditor has to see the accounting policies, okay, the methods, and whether these are consistent or not. Okay? So just have a look, just check the accounting policies, the methods that have been followed. Then see whether the loan amount that is shown in the books of accounts, the interest amount that agreed, can always recompute the interest payment. ठीक है, or if any discount or premium is there on redemption of debentures, so auditor can always, what he can do, he can recompute the discount and premium on the redemption of debentures. These are what amortized. So auditor can see the amortization of all these things. And if any foreign currency loan has been taken, by the client, so auditor will have to see whether the same is restated in terms of in terms of AS11, which is effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. Okay, very simple. So you may get a question with respect to valuation of borrowings, that XYZ Limited, when you inspected the financials of XYZ Limited, you saw that during the year, new loan amounting to 10 crores has been taken. Okay, so how will you verify the valuation of such loan? So very simple, accounting policies dekhne hain, methods dekhne hain. You have to see whether loan amount is in agreement with whatever has been mentioned in the loan agreement, okay, or the debenture trust deal. Then interest payments or discounts or premium on redemption, auditor can recompute them. Then amortization of the discount or premium on the redemption of shares. And if any foreign currency loan has been taken, then auditor can verify it in terms of AS11, that is effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. Okay, effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. Tell me whether it is clear. So far we have done about existence, completeness, valuation. Okay. Further, see, auditor can, when he is verifying the loans, okay, so auditor, when he is verifying the borrowings, he can always read the provisions that are given in the agreement. Simple. And he can always check whether these are complied with or not. Okay? For example, students, see, it might happen that bank has try to understand this example, that bank has given a loan of, let's say, 1 CR for a period of 5 years, whereby the client is required to pay monthly interest. Okay? And it contains a condition that if the client defaults in the payment of monthly interest for a continuous period of 3 months, then the entire amount of ₹1 crores needs to be paid immediately by the client. Okay? There can be a situation like this. Now I'm discussing an example. Okay? So it says that if any of the provisions of the agreement is not in compliance, so auditor will see whether that debt should be classified as current. What is meant by being classified as current? That is, within the next 12 months, it need to be paid. Okay? So I gave example that a loan of 1 crore has been given for a period of 5 years with the payment of monthly interest. Okay? It contains a clause that if the company defaults in payment of monthly interest for a continuous period of 3 months, this loan need to be repaid by the company immediately. That is, it will become current. So auditor will see whether anything like that is there or not. Okay? Further, many of you told about what security. So auditor will see whether any asset has been given as a charge with respect to a loan, and if that debt is discharged, okay, you have paid the debt, then you will also get a discharge of the asset. Why? Because that asset was given as a security. Now if debt has been discharged, so all the charges on the asset should also be cleared. Okay? Simple. Then many of you told me about related party transactions. So if any of the loans, borrowings is there from a related party, so auditor will see whether the same is in compliance with AS18. Okay? Borrowings may be in the form of bill discounted or bill negotiated with the banks. So auditor will also verify them in detail. And with respect to all the borrowings, whether the same are as per the authorization given by Article of Association or Memorandum of Association. Then compliance 186. What are these? See, section 180, you need not as such, learn them in detail. Firstly, tell me, have you done them in your law? Company law? quickly send in. ठीक है. So section 180 is with respect to restrictions on the powers of board of directors. That with respect to, let's say, if there is a sale of one of the undertakings, then the special resolution by the shareholders is also required. So this is what section 180. Then section 185 is loan to directors. Section 186 is loans or investment by the companies. So it simply says, in respect of the borrowings that has been done, the auditor needs to see the compliance to provision of section 180, 185, 186. So if you have not done, so please listen to it again. 180 is what? Restriction on powers of board of directors. Restrictions on power of board of directors. 185 is with respect to loan to directors. And 186 is with respect to loans and investments by the company. So auditor needs to consider all this in detail when he is verifying the borrowings. Okay? And last but not the least, if any of the public deposit has been accepted by the organization, by the client, then the directives of RBI, whether these have been followed by the company or not, the auditor needs to verify that. Okay? So with this, we have done a major chunk of the verification of borrowing part of the balance sheet. The disclosure part is required. But before starting with the disclosure part, I want all of you to please reply whether jitna bhi we have done today, whether it is clear or not. Okay? So if you ask me that, ma'am, whether we need to do section 180, 185, 186 in detail, see, knowledge is always useful. Okay? So if you want to read, you can always go through your material that is available on Google or MC website. But for the purpose of this this subject, you need to learn whatever has been mentioned in your module. I've told you what briefly is contained in these sections. Okay? So now with respect to borrowings, as I always do, let us just go through the module. Okay, let me just take you through the module with respect to the balance part of the borrowings also. So with respect to existence, we have seen what? Board meetings, okay? Then new loan agreement should be authorized, significant debt commitment should be approved. Okay? Then the next point was with respect to what? Loan agreement. That the loan recorded should agree with the details mentioned in the loan agreement. Then SA 505. Now underlining this should be sufficient. Why? Because now you all know that SA 505 is relating to balance confirmation, and the keyword here is all. Okay? Then hire purchase and leases के लिए underlying contracts and agreement को देखना है. Debentures के लिए the trust deed, the terms, the date of redemption, borrowing restrictions, and compliance with covenants. Covenants is what? Agreement terms. Then if a debt is retired, it should be discharged. The discharge on the assets which have been secured should be received, and WR, you may write here SA 518. Okay? Then schedule of your short-term, long-term with opening, new debt, the debt which has been repaid and closing, and with respect to the new debt, evidence that additional debt kaise hua hai, minutes check karna hai, contract check karna hai, confirmation lena hai, same thing. Okay? Trace the closing balance to the general ledger. Okay? Fresh loan, if any, has been taken near the balance sheet date, auditor needs to consider that also. Then with respect to direct confirmation procedure, all borrowings ke liye lena hai, and ascertain that confirmation asks for all information. Jitni bhi information hai, sari le lo. Example, what applicable? Interest rate, due dates, collateral, security. If there are non-replies, to send reminders or compare the balances that are given in the confirmation. In case for any differences, ask for reconciliations and test the supporting documents. Simple. Okay, valuation के लिए we have seen that determine that accounting policies and methods consistently apply हुए हैं नहीं. Loan balance and loan agreement, they should be in tally. Recompute interest, discount premium, computation of amortization, इनके ऊपर देख लो. प्रीमियम डिस्काउंट के ऊपर, एंड इन केस ऑफ अ फॉरेन करेंसी लोन AS 11 के अकॉर्डिंग देख लो, ठीक है. देन रीड द प्रोविजंस इन लोन्स अग्रीमेंट एंड दिस, ठीक है. So these are what you can see, what are the significant provisions, whether the same has been complied. I gave you an example of 5 years wala debt na. So if there are any provisions with which the entity is not in compliance, determine whether the debt should be classified as current. I hope this point is clear. ठीक है, due dates देख लो, long term short term की. And one more thing, see, if any long term debt is there with respect to which any of the installments is to be paid within the next 12 months, okay? So it is a requirement that the company is required to disclose in the financial statement in the parenthesis is what? These kind of brackets. So the organization need to specifically show that this much amount of installment is to be paid within the next 12 months. Parenthesis, you will come across this word a number of times in this chapter. So parenthesis is what? These brackets. So the organization need to mention the amount of installments with respect to long-term loans that are due within the next 12 months. Auditor needs to verify the correctness of such installments. Okay? So restrictive covenants, I've already told you that if there is any restrictive covenants, auditor need to verify them. Okay? Then this is regarding that creation and registration of charges. Okay? Then hire purchase we have already done. Then AS 18 or Ind AS 24 with respect to related party, bill discounted वगैरह, whether these are correctly reflected and disclosed in financial statement. Then with respect to every borrowing article and memorandum के according है या नहीं. Section 180 तो contribute नहीं हुआ है, 185 और 186 के compliance देखना है, ठीक है. Then in case any deposit has been accepted by the organization, the client, then RBI का directives whether these have been complied with or not. Okay? So now we'll be doing the disclosure part, which is, it may appear to be lengthy, but it is very simple. Okay? So we will be discussing the disclosure part one by one, and again, and now I think I can expect that this line now you have started learning. Okay? Because we are now reading this line the third time. Ensure whether the following disclosures required under Schedule 3, Part 1 to the Companies Act are made for each among disclosed under each of the following headed. So see, when borrowings, we are talking about what? Borrowings. So when borrowings are to be disclosed, they will be divided as long-term borrowings. This is the first heading. Okay? Then there is another heading, which is what? Other long-term liabilities. Okay? Then we have short-term borrowings. Okay? And under these major headings, we'll be reading what all is mentioned. Okay? So long-term borrowing shall be classified as what? Bond debentures. Simple. Then term loans from banks and from other parties will be given. Okay? Then deferred payment liabilities, the deposits. Okay? Now loans and advances from related parties in terms of AS 18, it need to be specifically separately disclosed. Okay? Long-term maturities of finance lease obligations, other loans and advances specify the nature. Okay? Simple. Now, all the above borrowings, A to G, they will be sub-classified as what? Secured and unsecured, and the nature of security in each case will be given. So this point talks about what? Security. Secured hai ya unsecured hai, and the nature of security. Then this point talks about what? Guarantee. If any of the loans have been guaranteed by the directors or others, the aggregate of such amount under each head shall be mentioned. Okay? Now this point talks about what? Redemption. So if any of the bonds or debentures are to be redeemed, okay, or they are to be converted, okay, so the organization, they need to show that in the descending order of maturity, starting from the farthest redemption or conversion date. What is meant by that? That जो सबसे बाद में farthest date, सबसे late वाली date है, उस दिन कौन सा redeem हो रहा है, then उसके पास वाली date, then उससे nearer, and then the nearest, descending order. Okay? So the client, the organization needs to show that which bonds and debentures along with the interest and the particulars of redemption or conversion these to be stated in the descending order of maturity. Okay, starting from the farthest date, सबसे late, then near to that, then near to that, and then the nearest. Okay, simple. Then if any of the redeemed bond and debentures, see how to learn, this is related to this point now, that if any of the redeemed bond and debentures, if the company has the power to reissue that bond or debenture, that will also be mentioned. Terms of repayment of the term loans and other loans shall be stated, and in case of any default, okay, in case of any default, then the period and amount of the continuing default as on the balance sheet date in either repayment or in the interest shall be specified separately. Okay, clear? Now other long-term liabilities, okay, so it may be trade payables or others. Then short-term borrowings. So short-term borrowings, you will find that short-term borrowings are more or less the disclosure requirement are same as they are given for what long-term borrowings. So loan repayable on demand from banks, other parties, from related parties, deposits, other loans and advances, specify the nature. Then we need to subclassify them as what? Secured and unsecured, and the nature of security in each case is to be given. If any of the loan has been guaranteed by directors or others, then aggregate amount under each head is to be shown. Then the period and amount of default as in balance sheet date. You can see these are all the same points that we have done in loan. Okay, few points from the long-term borrowings. Then very, very important, current maturities of long-term borrowing shall be disclosed separately. Earlier it was under what? Long-term borrowings itself. Now it has been shifted where? In the short-term borrowings. Okay, the way I told you in parenthesis, if any of the installment has to be given with respect to a long-term loan within the next 12 months. So see, current maturities of long-term borrowing shall be disclosed separately. You can always be asked a true false question as to whether the current maturities of long-term borrowings, whether they will be disclosed under long-term borrowings. So when students will see now that current maturities to long-term borrowings, they are definitely going to write it in long-term borrowings, which is not correct. It will be shown under where, under which head? Short-term borrowings. Very, very important. Okay. So with this, we have finished our borrowing parts, and in your module, a number of notes have been given under this, which as I have skipped one note with respect to what? Your share capital, and I'm skipping these 5 notes also. We'll be doing them in the next session. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Borrowings is clear, and students, believe me, once you go through the module word by word and try to make the summaries the way I have told you, see, this is the way you need to make summaries, and these are not tough. So if you see, if I minimize it, see the borrowing, major part of the borrowing is covered here, Hannah. And okay, let me just show to you. Okay, so you can always summarize this way. And when you summarize, now learning is going to be very, very easy for you. Okay, so please, many of you were saying that, ma'am, we have already made the summary of the chapter till where we finished in the last session. So today, most probably, we'll be covering three more topics. That is total of 4. So I want you people to make the summaries of these 4 also. And if you do not want to make the summary, highlight it from the module, the keywords. Okay. So the next topic that I'm going to start today is what? Trade receivable, your debtors. Before that, quickly tell me, is there any doubt? Is everything clear? I'm waiting for your replies. Send in your replies. So debtors. I'll wait for 10 seconds, then I'll be starting with debtors. And I'll start debtors with one of the questions from my side. So in the last session, students were saying that they also want to send messages the way Shrishti sent in the last session, that she secured 70 marks simply by following the techniques which are discussed in this session. So students, you all can also achieve good marks, but yes, hard work is required. Clear or not? Yes, if students, if valuation is required with respect to borrowings, you will be writing with respect to valuation only, na? If disclosure requirement has been asked, you will be writing with respect to disclosure requirement only. Pooja, clear? So, trade receivables, and as I told you that I'll be asking you a question. Tell me, see, with respect to debtors, the volume of transactions is very large. Okay? So tell me, when I as an auditor, I want to check whether debtors balances are correctly shown or not, which P&L item, with respect to which P&L item should I check the internal control? Debtors balance will be appearing in the balance sheet now. So with respect to which item of P&L, profit and loss account, should I check the client's internal control? Sending your replies. So students, see this, meanwhile, like I'll be receiving your replies. Let us just start the discussion. So see, debtor balances is a very essential part of any balance sheet. Okay? And how debtors amount is recorded. See, when the sales are made on credit basis, the invoices are raised to the debtors. Okay? These are issued. Yes, students are saying sales. Okay? So these are issued to the customers, and this amount is recorded as what? Debtor balance. Okay? And this amount will remain recorded as a debtor balance until it is paid. या तो payment हो जाएगा, या ये क्या हो जाएगा? Write off हो जाएगा with the appropriate authority. By appropriate authority, ये write off हो जाएगा. ठीक है? So when credit sales are made, the sales are invoiced to the customer, invoices are issued to the customers, it will appear as what? As a debtor balance. And it will continue to remain as a debtor balance until it is paid by the debtor or it has been written off by an appropriate authority. Okay? But now, as you all have also said, and I have also mentioned, that sales jab hote hain na, tab debtors aate hain, credit sales. So unless and until I as a debtor, I am sure about the internal control with respect to sales. See, sales are a routine kind of transaction, and in clients, it might be possible that the volume of sale transaction is very high. So I will have to check the internal control. I will have to check the test of control with respect to sales. Why? Because unless and until sales are recorded properly, I cannot assure whether debtors are accounted for properly or not. ठीक है? Sales का recording properly होगा, तभी तो debtors का भी recording properly आएगा. ठीक है? So sales में क्या देखना है आपको? वैसे तो we will be doing sales in detail when we will be discussing P&L, but for this, just try to understand. See, credit sales, whenever sales are recorded, these should be what? Genuine sales. Bona fide होना चाहिए, fake नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है? Then can credit sales be made to any XYZ person? No. It should be made to what? Approved customers only, and these should be properly recorded. And as I've told you, these can be settled only either by when these are paid by the debtors, the amount has been paid, or when it is written off. Like it should not happen कि पहले debtor दिखा दिया फिर उसी को credit कर दिया. नहीं, it should not happen like that. फिर तो वो fake sales हो गया ना. ठीक है. And there should be a segregation of duties. Segregation of duty. किस चीज में? See, suppose the person who is collecting the amount with respect to debtors, the person who is sending the reminders with respect to what the debtor amounts, the person who is taking legal action, Hana, the person who is making the final debtor accounts, there should be segregation of duty. Why? Otherwise, there are chances now that if a single person is handling everything, he may use such funds for his own personal purpose, and he may tell the management that he hasn't received the amount, irrespective of sending a number of reminders. So there should be what? Segregation of duty. There should be a follow-up system, and provision with respect to bad debt should be made. Okay? So once the auditor is clear about the internal control with respect to sales, then only he can perform his audit procedures. With respect to what? With respect to debtors. With respect to debtors. Okay? So what are the audit procedures that the auditor has to perform when he has to verify the existence of debtors? Okay? What are the audit procedures that the auditor has to perform with respect to what? Existence of debtors. Quickly tell me one of the essays that comes to your mind. How can I confirm the existence and in fact the completeness and valuation? कैसे पता चलेगा एक SA कौन सा लग सकता है? Quickly send in your replies. So SA 505 है ना, एक्सटर्नल कंफर्मेशन पढ़ा हुआ है ना आपने चैप्टर नंबर 3 में. सो द सेम इज रिपीटेड हियर. ठीक है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट मी जस्ट टेक यू थ्रू द मॉड्यूल इटसेल्फ. नाउ फॉर दोज हु वांट टू मेक highlight the keywords in the module, I'm showing you as to how to read from the module. So you are verifying what to establish the existence of trade receivable as at the period end. ठीक है. So first of all, check whether there are internal controls that one invoice is recorded only once, not more than once. ठीक है. तभी तो genuine debtors आएंगे ना. ठीक है. And once the sales are recorded, the debtors, the receivable balance should automatically get what? Recorded. ठीक है. So whether there are controls that invoices are not recorded more than once. ठीक है. Auditor can always obtain what? The accounts receivable debtors aging report कि कितना पुराना debtor अभी भी है books में. ठीक है. Aging report and then compare it with the balances that are appearing in the ledgers account of the debtors. ठीक है. Further, the realization, that is the amount that has been received with respect to a debtor. So auditor needs to see that the realization with respect to the debtors, it should be what? First of all, invoice wise. कि invoice wise payment आनी चाहिए कि suppose invoice 1 2 3 4 10 तक है तो it should be received invoice wise. ठीक है. And if it is not received invoice wise, then it should be considered what? Chronologically, date wise, and that too first in first out FIFO basis. ठीक है. Let's say 50,000 के invoices हैं. ठीक है. या तो उस पेमेंट पे लिखा हो that is with respect to first invoice, with respect to invoice number second, तो invoice wise. If that is not mentioned, then chronologically FIFO basis पे जो पहले वाले invoices है उनके against होना चाहिए. And if it is received on account, what is meant by if it is received on account? Let's say if a payment of 1,80,000 is received, अब नहीं पता ना इसके against है या इसके against है, on account है तो simple ना confirmation ले लो ना debtor से कि किसके against भेजा हुआ है आपने. ठीक है. So existence के लिए first of all that invoice should be recorded only once and aging report can be obtained, and with respect to realization it should be first received what? Invoice wise. And if it is not recorded invoice wise, then received on account, you're not able to see as to with respect to which bill or a particular amount cannot be related to a particular invoice, then verify that the company has obtained confirmation from the debtors in respect of same. Simple. And if any of the debt is outstanding for very long, then ask the management that management, what is the reason, and give us the justification. Why haven't you made a provision with respect to such debtors? Simple. Okay. Now we all know that with respect to various terms of debtors, existence के लिए भी, completeness के लिए भी, valuation के लिए भी, we can perform what? Direct confirmation procedures. And I can see number of you have answered correctly that SA 505. Okay. So let us just quickly recapitulate the knowledge that we have gathered, that we gathered in chapter number 3 when we did SA 505. So first of all, what is it? It is a direct written response to the auditor. So auditor needs to contact directly to the debtors, and auditor can send the confirmation request to all the significant balances debtors, that is the debtors who are having significant amounts as at the end of the period. And with respect to small outstanding balances, the confirmation request can be sent on what? Sample basis, random customers को भेज सकते हैं. ठीक है. Is the consent of management required? Yes, we have seen in chapter number 3 that it will be done with the consent of what? Management. If management refuses the auditor, that auditor, you cannot, please do not send the confirmation request letter to this party. So ask management what are the reasons. If these are valid reasons, perform alternate procedures. If these are not valid reasons, you are not finding those reasons reasonable or not valid, then consider the NT of nature, timing, extent of audit procedure, and consider its impact on the reliability of what? Written representation that has been provided by the management. Okay? And the debtor balances can be confirmed for what? Either the balance sheet date or any other date, which you can discuss in consultation with the management. Okay? What type of confirmation can be given? Either I can ask the other party, that party tell me whether the balance is 4 lakhs or not, or I can tell the party, tell me what is the balance. So students, quickly tell me which of the method appears to you more preferable. First is what? When I'm asking the debtors that tell me whether it is 4 lakh or not, and in the other situation, when I'm asking the party that tell me what is the balance. So first or second, just write one or two. See, I'll be quickly doing this direct confirmation procedure. Why? Because we have done this in detail in chapter number 3 when we completed SA 505. So first or second. So the second one is more preferable because you're asking, tell us what is the balance. Okay? And tell me, unless and until you receive a list from the management with respect to all the debtors, is it wise to disclose the management that management, listen, we will be sending the confirmation request to all the debtors exceeding ₹5 lakh? Nahi. Fir to whatever list they will provide, they can always manipulate that. So don't reveal as to how you will be selecting the debtors for sending you the confirmation. Okay? Then auditor needs to see these are properly addressed, properly dispatched, and they are returned directly, or the undelivered letters are returned directly to the what? To the auditor. If there are any differences, ask the management to reconcile the same. And students are saying, yes, ma'am. The second wala method is more preferable. Okay? If no replies are received, tell me if no replies are received. Okay? You were expecting, you have sent a positive confirmation, लेकिन नहीं आया confirmation. Okay? तो सीधा audit report में नहीं लिखना होता ना. As I've told you, perform alternate procedures. क्या alternate procedures कर सकते हैं? See, if you have sent a letter to Mr. Ram that what is the balance, or like is it 4 lakhs or not? Okay? Positive confirmation में that you needed a reply. I expect that you all remember what is positive confirmation request, what is negative confirmation. We have done that in quite detail. Okay? And you do not receive the letter. So what can be done is, when the cash is received subsequently, okay, let's say the balance of the Mr. Ram in books of my client is what? 4 lakhs. as on 31st March 21. ठीक है. So अभी I am doing the audit, let's say 30th June तक तो audit चल ही रहा है ना मेरा. So in this period I can always see whether any cash has been received subsequently. Let's say यहाँ पे 4 lakhs receive हो जाता है, it automatically proves ना कि 4 lakh exist करता था, है ना. So cash received subsequently, or what can be done, you can examine whether these sales transactions are recorded properly or not. That is, you can perform what? Examination in depth. What is meant by that? You start from the first entry that was done in the system, the first supporting document of the sales, and then look at the entire trail of documents with respect to this particular client draft. उससे भी पता चल जाएगा ना कि हाँ, this is a genuine sale. ठीक है. Further, with respect to related party, if the debtors are a related party, then ठीक है, ये सारे वाले procedures तो करने ही हैं. But with respect to a related party, the collectibility कि वो realizable है भी या नहीं, authorization, whether it was authorized or not, and value, whether it is at arm's length price. What is arm's length price? The price at which the goods are being sold to any unrelated party. The goods should have been sold to the related party at the same price, arm's length price. ठीक है. So related party अगर debtor है तो ये वाले चीजें, whatever we have discussed above, that you will have to see. But apart from that, about the collectibility, recoverable, realizable तो है ना वो amount, authorization and valuation भी देखना है. ठीक है. Then it says that in the revenue from sales figure, auditor should make sure that no other income should be shown. It should not happen that interest income is also shown in what? Revenue in from sales. ठीक है. Further, auditor may perform various analytical review procedures. Now, your knowledge of chapter number 8. Quickly tell me what is the essay with respect to analytical review procedures? Just a small test of your understanding and your learning for the last chapter. Essay, I'll not tell you the essay. Analytical review procedures. So meanwhile, you will tell me. So auditor can always review the trend of the sales, है of the debtors, and can compare it. ठीक है. Auditor can see, is there any unusual trend? Auditor can unusual. So part, it is not 5:30. Sandeep, Pooja, Menon, Surbhi, all these students have answered correctly. Part, please send your answer again. So it is what? Essay. I'll wait for another 10 seconds, then I'll write. Okay? So auditor can review the trend of what? The debtors with respect to trade sales. And if there is any unusual trends, then inquiries can always be made with the management, and management can be asked to give a brief justification or brief description with respect to this, and everything can be documented. Okay? So it is what? Essay 520. Okay? So analytical review procedures can also be performed. Okay? Now, if the auditor has to consider the completeness, whether whatever debtors have been shown, whether these are complete or not, okay? And more specifically, whether all debtors related to the current period, that is cut off. So what all procedures auditor can perform? Okay? So see, cut off, that is whether the debtors pertaining to the current period only are shown. This is necessary. Why? In order to see that these debtors should not either be understated or overstated, that all that debtors transactions which were supposed to be recorded in the books of accounts for, let's say, our example, financial year 2021 should have been recorded in financial year 2021. ठीक है. So वो कैसे देखना है? See, what can auditor do? He can, with respect to the debtor balances, what he can do, he can obtain invoices for the last 5 days of the reporting year. ठीक है, 31st March को है ना आपका closing, तो what can auditor do? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 or starting from 27, he can see all those invoices. ठीक है, and he'll check whether the invoices which have been issued, ठीक है, with respect to these invoices, whether goods have actually been dispatched. ठीक है, so if invoices has been raised issued to the customers, then goods should not be lying with the company, the goods should have been dispatched, and vice versa. Vice versa is what? That if goods have been dispatched to the party, then invoices should has been raised, and the debtors, the party should has been shown as what? As the debtors. ठीक है, further it says that it should not happen that the goods which are dispatched after the year end, after 31st March, that they should not be included in the debtors for the financial year 2021. Simple एक ही बात है पर तीन तरीके से है. Let us just have a look again. अगर invoices raise हो गए हैं तो goods should be dispatched. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि that goods are lying with the company. ठीक है, सेकंड में क्या बोल रहा है? अगर goods dispatch हो गए हैं तो invoices should have been raised, debtors में आ जाना चाहिए. ठीक है, एंड थर्ड में क्या बोल रहा है? that अगर dispatch हुआ है after the end of the year, then the same should not be included in what? debtors of this year, क्योंकि वो तो next year का debtor हो गया ना. ठीक है, clear? Then it says that you can always obtain what? receivable report. एक list ले लो, एक aging report ले लो. ठीक है, supporting documents है कि with respect to few debtors, the auditor can always verify whether correct amount आ रहा है नहीं, correct customer आ रहा है या नहीं, correct dates आ रहे हैं या नहीं. ठीक है, so this can be checked further in order to see at the cutoff the shipping documents can be seen in order to see that whether these debtors relate to which accounting period, what is the correct period. ठीक है, shipping document can be seen. ठीक है, then students, auditor need to assess bill and hold sales. What is meant by this? See, abhi what I have said, that if invoices have been issued, the goods should not be lying with the party. ठीक है, now what is bill and hold sales? It basically means, see, it might happen na, that the client, he is selling the goods now. So the seller, the client, it may happen the client has told the customers, the buyers, that you will be given certain discount or incentive if you get the billing done today itself. You may get the goods dispatched later on. पर अगर अभी billing हो जाएगी, you will get certain discount, certain incentive. So what is happening here? That the company is billing. It is billing the client. It is billing the debtors, but holding the goods with itself. That goods are not been dispatched though the bill has been raised. So if any such arrangement is there, then auditor need to verify that also. So assess bill and hold sales, and log means record. ठीक है, अगर कुछ आपने शिपमेंट करवाया है तो उसका जो डेट्स है उसको भी चेक कर सकते हो ना कि वो कौन से करेक्ट अकाउंटिंग पीरियड में आएगा. ठीक है, Tanu, I hope your query is clear. ठीक है, further it says that auditor needs to consider the receiving log. Log is again what? Record. What is meant by receiving log? See, when the client is making sales, there can be what? Sales return. ठीक है, so genuine sales return are fine. But students, it should not happen ना कि 31st March को in order to inflate the profits, client ने क्या किया? बहुत सारे sales वैसे ही कर दिए to various, let's say, related party, and April month में, let's say April 2021 में वो सब return हो गए हैं. उससे क्या होगा? As on 31st March, the client is able to inflate the profits ना, sales बढ़ा के profits inflate कर दिए ना, तो उसके बाद April 2021 में next month में क्या हुआ, receiving log, that is receiving log में क्या record करते हैं, the sales return. So this should not happen कि fake sales दिखा दिया और next month में उसको return, उसको वापस बुलवा लिया, ठीक है. So receiving is what, where the sales returns are recorded, and log is what, the record. So it should not happen that in order to inflate the profits ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है. So auditor needs to see the receiving log कि genuine sales return है ना, ठीक है. Further, auditor should, with respect to sales, see what is the process of giving discounts और incentives. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि दो पार्टीज को तो 10% डिस्काउंट दे दिया, बाकियों को नहीं दिया. Why are the two parties related? So these discounts should be as per the company policy or these should be as per the industry trends जो भी industry में चल रहा है. Same way, there is a concept of what, credit memos. ठीक है. So let's say that any invoice has been issued to Mr. Ram for rupees 4 lakhs. ठीक है. Later on, our client, Ram is what, debtor. Later on, our client issues a credit memo to Mr. Ram for rupees 1 lakh. What is meant by that? That the client is saying that Mr. Ram, now you need not pay 4 lakh. You need to pay only 3 lakhs. ठीक है. How can it happen? See, it might be possible that there is certain return of goods. वो तो genuine है. ठीक है. There may be certain pricing dispute. But it should be what, fake credit memo should not be issued. ठीक है. So what is credit memo? Whereby it is a document which has been issued by a seller to the party, to the buyer, whereby the seller is reducing the amount that the buyer owes to the seller under the terms of the earlier invoice. पहले 4 लाख देना था ना, लेकिन अब credit memo 1 lakh का issue कर दिया. What does that mean? That Ram, Mr. Ram, now you need not pay 4 lakh. You need to pay only 3 lakhs. तो उसका भी genuineness auditor को check करना है. ठीक है. And in case of any deduction in the bill, then what are the reasons, what are the correspondences, all that needs to be checked. Simple, very logical and very general points. ठीक है. Reading is always required, as I've always told you. ठीक है. Now with respect to valuation, value कैसे करना है? ठीक है. So valuation में जैसे borrowings में I told you that the first point that comes to my mind is what, interest, है ना. Valuation जब आता है तो first point क्या आता है मेरे mind में, interest. Tell me, valuation जब आया debtors का, what is the first point that comes to your mind? Valuation. So provision for doubtful debts. Debtors तो I told you ना कि debtors तो once invoices have been raised उस amount पे आ जाएंगे, and these will be the amount will get credited only when it is paid or when it is written off. ठीक है. So with respect to debtors, very important thing with respect to valuation is what, your valuation of provision for doubtful debt. So whether that provision, that method, that accounting policy is what, consistent, compare it with the last year, whether it is appropriate or not. With respect to valuation, whether this provision is correctly, appropriately or not, auditor can always obtain a reporting, an aging report, an aging schedule from the client. That client tell me कि कितना पुराना debtor है, 30 days है, 60 days है, more than that है, कितना पुराना debtor है. And if you find that any of the debtors it's outstanding for a very long time, ठीक है, or you find that with respect to any of the debtors some litigation is going on, compare it with the previous year, ठीक है. Ask the management, that management, if there is a litigation with respect to a particular debtor, if it is outstanding for a long time, why have you not prepared, why have you not provided for it, why have you not made a provision for the doubtful debt? Ask the management, and in case management says there is some dispute or anything like that, then auditor needs to perform further audit procedure to like further test such debtors. ठीक है. So with this we have finished the verification of debtors. Only the disclosure part is left, but before starting with the disclosure part, let me just take you through the module quickly. Before that, send in your replies whether you have understood whether you are finding it easy, because it is actually very easy. But yes, I need your concentration. Okay, because I have told you that you will get good marks with good language only. Okay, so, and why I always say that this chapter is very easy, because you know each and everything as to what audit procedures is to be performed, what provision of Companies Act are to be checked, what relevant accounting standards are to be checked. Okay, just you need to compile the entire knowledge that you already have, and you need to use certain good language in order to write your answers. So tell me whether jitna bhi humne kiya hai today, whether it is clear or not, and whether you are finding this chapter easy. But because believe me, this chapter is actually very easy. Okay, so with respect to existence we have seen. अच्छा, ऊपर वाले पैराग्राफ में क्या लिखा हुआ है? It is mentioned that test of control देखना है with respect to sales. ठीक है, as a part of debtors audit procedure. So students are saying, Tanu is saying, ma'am, it is easy but lengthy. वो तो I started my class by saying this only, na, that it is of 104 pages, but believe me, very scoring and very easy. And Pooja is saying, ma'am, some words are new. So if they are new, try to use them. And in fact, you have to use them. Okay? And Sandeep part, everyone is saying it is clear. Chalo, good. So we have seen that test of control kiska dekhna hai? Sales ka. Why? Because sales mein hi se to credit sales aate hai na, tabhi to debtors aate hai na. Okay? Once after performing the test of controls over sales, the auditor will decide upon the procedure to be applied to verify what debtors balance. Okay? So first of all, what is mentioned here, that one invoice should be recorded only once, and automatically receivable balance should get updated. Then it says that aging report le sakte and compare it with the general ledger balances. Realization invoice wise hona chahiye record, and if it is not, if money is received not invoice wise, then chronologically FIFO basis pe hona chahiye. If that is not possible because it is received on account, then company needs to obtain a confirmation from the debtor that debtor please tell us ki kaise aapne payment kiya hai. If any of the debtor is outstanding for a long time, then auditor needs to ask the management with respect to the reasons. Okay? Direct confirmation procedure, chalo, I'll mark the keywords here also. So it says that ask them about amount of unpaid accounts at the end of the reporting period. Jitna bhi significant account balances are at the period end, let's say 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, depending upon materiality or auditor's professional judgment. So significant account debtor balance ke liye to le lo. Further, small outstanding balance hai, usko bhi aap random basis pe select karke confirmation bhej sakte ho. ठीक है? Consent of the entity चाहिए. अगर मैनेजमेंट मना कर देती है, ऑडिटर कंसीडर करेगा वैलिड रीजन है या नहीं. ठीक है? और फिर इफ वैलिड है तो एंटी ऑफ ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स देखना है. इफ वैलिड नहीं है, सो डिग्री ऑफ रिलायंस ऑन मैनेजमेंट्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन देखना है. ठीक है? देन इट सेज यू कैन आस्क व्हाट इज द बैलेंस एज ऑन बैलेंस शीट डेट और एनी अदर सिलेक्टेड डेट इन कंसल्टेशन विद द कंपनी. यू कैन आस्क व्हाट इज द बैलेंस, द फॉर्म विद बैलेंस आउटस्टैंडिंग अमाउंट, that is you are saying कि 4 lakhs है या नहीं, या the form without any balance mentioned there. Simple. ठीक है? Or unless and until you receive the trial balance of the receivable ledgers, do not reveal what as to how you will be selecting the debtors to whom confirmation request shall be given. ठीक है? And auditor will see कि undelivered है और जो confirmation है that are returned to the ऑडिटर एंड नॉट टू द क्लाइंट. अगर कोई डिस्क्रिपेंसी है, एडिशनल टेस्ट करो, मैनेजमेंट को बोलो कि मैनेजमेंट रिकंसाइल करो और इन्वेस्टिगेट करो. ठीक है? नो रिप्लाई है, ऑल्टरनेट प्रोसीजर्स करो. सी यू कैन गेट अ क्वेश्चन हियर आल्सो ना कि इफ नो रिप्लाईज आर रिसीव्ड विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द कंफर्मेशंस दैट यू हैव सेंट, सो क्या करना है, अग्रीइंग द कैश बैलेंस टू कैश रिसीव सब्सिक्वेंटली. नेक्स्ट ईयर में भी तो आ सकता है ना पैसा, तो देख लो 4 lakhs आउटस्टैंडिंग था, 4 lakh मिल गया तो ओके है. ठीक है? या डिटेल्ड एनालिसिस कर लो, मतलब व्हाट एग्जामिनेशन इन डेप्थ फॉर दोस बैलेंसेस, जहां से रिकॉर्ड होना स्टार्ट हुआ था सेल्स ना, वहां से सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स अगर जेन्युइन है, ईच एंड एवरी डॉक्यूमेंट्स, द इनवॉइसेस, जो भी रॉ मटेरियल, जो भी आपका सॉरी फिनिश गुड सेल वगैरह हुआ है, सब कुछ चेक कर लो ना वहां से, ठीक है। रिलेटेड पार्टी है तो आर्म्स लेंथ भी होना चाहिए, ऑथराइज्ड होना चाहिए, एंड कलेक्टिबिलिटी भी देखना है। देन इट सेज दैट रिसीवेबल में इट शुड नॉट इंक्लूड एनी अदर सेल्स और सर्विसेज, ठीक है। ट्रेंड देख सकते हो, परफॉर्म एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर्स, ठीक है। Average collection period can be calculated, and in case of unusual trends you can always make inquiries to the management, ठीक है। कंप्लीटनेस कैसे देखना है, मोर स्पेसिफिकली कट ऑफ कैसे देखना है, क्यों जरूरी है, बिकॉज वी नीड टू सी वेदर द डेटा शुड नॉट हैव बीन अंडरस्टेटेड और ओवरस्टेटेड। और वो देखना कैसे है, लास्ट फ्यू इनवॉइसेस ले सकते हो, लेट्स से लास्ट 5 days के, एंड देन if invoices have been issued then the goods should have been dispatched, and vice versa, that goods have been dispatched तो invoices होना चाहिए, and it should not happen कि next year में dispatch हो रहा है debtors end का है, नहीं, ठीक है। रिसीवेबल रिपोर्ट ले लो, सपोर्टिंग डॉक्यूमेंट ले लो, है ना। डिस्पैच लॉग या शिपिंग लॉग, लॉग इज व्हाट रिकॉर्ड, ठीक है, उससे देख लो, सो दैट आपको करेक्ट अकाउंटिंग पीरियड पता चल जाए। असेस बिल एंड होल्ड सेल्स, इफ देयर इज अ सिचुएशन वेयर द कंपनी इज बिलिंग द कस्टमर्स फॉर सेल डिस्पाइट स्टिल रिटेनिंग द गुड्स ऑन साइट, बिल किया एंड होल्ड किया किसको, गुड्स को, सो सपोर्टिंग डॉक्यूमेंटेशन को देखना है इन ऑर्डर टू सी वेदर सच सेल हैज एक्चुअली टेकन प्लेस और नॉट, सिंपल, ठीक है। रिसीविंग लॉग, रिसीविंग लॉग में क्या आता है कि कस्टमर रिटर्न्स आता है, बट इनऑर्डिनेटरली लार्ज अमाउंट का कस्टमर रिटर्न नहीं आना चाहिए, ठीक है। जेन्युइन है तो ठीक है, बट इनऑर्डिनेटरली, इनऑर्डिनेटली इज व्हाट, अनरीजनेबली, unreasonably, inordinately means unreasonably, कुछ आपका वो नहीं आना चाहिए कस्टमर रिटर्न। सेम वे डिस्काउंट और इंसेंटिव जो है एज पर कंपनीज पॉलिसी है, जनरल इंडस्ट्री ट्रेंड होना चाहिए। क्रेडिट मेमो क्या होता है, टोल्ड यू कि नाउ यू नीड नॉट पे 4 लाख, नाउ यू पे ओनली 3 लाख, तो उसको भी करेक्ट पीरियड में आना चाहिए, ऑथराइज होना चाहिए, जेन्युइन होना चाहिए, ठीक है। वैल्यूएशन के लिए वी हैव सीन डाउटफुल अकाउंट्स के लिए प्रोविजन जो बनता है वो कैसे, अलाउंस इज व्हाट प्रोविजन, तो लास्ट ईयर से कंपेयर कर लो एप्रोप्रिएट है या नहीं, ठीक है, मेथड। एंड देन यू कैन ऑब्टेन एन एजिंग रिपोर्ट कि कितना पुराना है कोई भी डेटर, एंड इफ देयर इज एनी लिटिगेशन कंपेयर इट विद द प्रीवियस ईयर, अगर डाउटफुल लगता है ऑडिटर को, आस्क द मैनेजमेंट, डिस्कस विद द मैनेजमेंट अबाउट रीजंस एज टू व्हाई दीस डेटास आर नॉट इंक्लूडेड इन प्रोविजन फॉर डेटर्स, कोई डिस्प्यूट है क्या, और अगर कोई डिस्प्यूट है तो क्या करना है, उसको फर्दर टेस्टिंग करना है, एप्रोप्रिएट रेट पे आपका डेटर्स आना चाहिए, प्रोविजन आना चाहिए, ठीक है। एंड राइट ऑफ, जो भी राइट ऑफ हो रहा है विद द एप्रोप्रिएट अथॉरिटी ऑफ द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, इट शुड हैपन विद द एप्रोप्रिएट अथॉरिटी ऑफ द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, ठीक है। नाउ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू डिस्क्लोजर्स, so first of all, see the line will remain same, don't worry, ensure whether the following disclosures as required under schedule 3 part 1 to the companies act are made, ठीक है। बट उससे पहले हम और क्या देखना है, दैट AS11, दैट इज इन केस ऑफ फॉरेन द डेटर्स इन foreign currency, so whether these are restated at an appropriate amount in terms of AS11, related party अगर कोई debtor है, whether the proper disclosure has been made in terms of AS18, and ensure that transactions with parties covered under section 189 has been duly reported in your CARO 2020. I'll be discussing with you in chapter number 10, ठीक है। So but as of now try to understand what is section 189, ठीक है। अभी I'm not taking in detail, I'm just telling you it is what register of contracts or arrangements in which director is interested, in which director is interested. So there are certain reporting requirements with respect to the contracts or arrangements with in which directors are interested. The reporting requirement under CARO 2020. CARO is company's auditors report order, which we'll be doing in detail in chapter number 10, ठीक है। So we'll be discussing there, but it says that if any of the contract which attracts section 189 of the Companies Act, then auditor needs to see the reporting part as well, ठीक है। And what are the disclosure requirement? Again, very, very important, a recent change. So you need to, yes, you need to learn it by heart. So what? is to be mentioned that trade receivable aging schedule needs to be disclosed, and how the same needs to be disclosed. The client should disclose it in this way that whatever outstanding are there with respect to debtors from the due date, and if that amount is outstanding for less than 6 months, from 6 months to 1 year, from 1 year to 2 years, from 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years, and how to bifurcate the debtors, that if there is any undisputed trade receivable, there is no dispute. If these are good or these are considered doubtful, दोनों के लिए separate category में you need to write whether these are due for less than 6 months or 6 months to 1 year, 1 year to 2 year, 2 year to 3 year, or more than 3 year. Why? Because देखो more than 3 year है, so auditor will see ना कि what is the reason, dispute भी नहीं है, then why are they outstanding, provision create किया है या नहीं, ठीक है. Same way with respect to disputed trade receivable which are considered good, disputed हैं but they are considered good, ठीक है. Disputed trade receivable which are considered doubtful, same way the client needs to give that disclosure, ठीक है. So very very important, you can always be asked that what aging schedule with respect to trade receivable in terms of schedule 3 of part 1 to the Companies Act, the auditor needs to check. So this is the trade receivable aging schedule which is very easy to learn, है ना. ऊपर क्या दिया हुआ है कि कितना पुराना है डेटर और कौन सा डेटर है, that is given in the vertical column, ठीक है. Now it says that let's say if the similar information shall be given when no due date of payment is specified, ठीक है. So that disclosure will be 6 months will be calculated or 1 year will be calculated from what, the date of transaction, ठीक है. Also any unbilled dues shall be disclosed separately, that is sales have been made but the billing has not been done, so that shall also be disclosed separately, ठीक है. So this is a new addition which has been done in schedule 3 to the Companies Act, and you need to do this in like you need to learn it, ठीक है. Now these trade receivables shall be sub-classified as what, secured considered good, unsecured considered good, and doubtful. And with respect to the 3 categories, the provision, the allowance with respect to the doubtful debts need to be shown, ठीक है. For the debts due by, if any of the debtors are what, the directors or other officers of the company, so that amount will be shown, ठीक है. Or if any debt is due by any firm or a private company where the director is a partner or he's a director or he's a member. So अगर ऐसी कोई फर्म या प्राइवेट कंपनी है जिससे डेट है, जिससे डेट ड्यू है, और उस फर्म या प्राइवेट कंपनी में डायरेक्टर इज अ पार्टनर और डायरेक्टर और अ मेंबर, तो वो भी सेपरेटली शो करना है, ठीक है. सो व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन द वैल्यूएशन पार्ट इज AS 11 के अकॉर्डिंग रीस्टेटमेंट हो अगर कोई फॉरेन डेटर है आपका, ठीक है. इफ दैट इज इन फॉरेन करेंसी तो उसको रीस्टेट करना है इन टर्म्स ऑफ AS 11. रिलेटेड पार्टी है तो AS 18 के अकॉर्डिंग देखना है. एंड सेक्शन 189 अगर अट्रैक्ट होता है ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट विच इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू व्हाट, रजिस्टर ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स और अरेंजमेंट्स इन विच डायरेक्टर्स आर इंटरेस्टेड, दैट इज यू हैव मेड अ सेल टू यू नो एनी ऑफ द डेटर्स हु इज रिलेटेड टू द डायरेक्टर, है ना. तो उस केस में रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ कैरो 2020 is to be seen, and the trade receivable aging schedule should look like this in the financial statements of the client. Further, the trade receivable should be sub-classified as secured considered good, unsecured considered good, and doubtful. And with respect to all these, the allowance, the provision, and debt which is specifically due from a director or officer of the company or jointly, either severely or jointly by any of the person, or if any firm of private company in which this director is a partner, director, or a member, it should also be shown separately, ठीक है. So with this we have done our trade receivable का entire part including presentation and disclosure, ठीक है. So basically what we have done कि सारे assertions के लिए what all audit procedures auditor can perform, ठीक है. So tell me, is it clear? Tell me, is it clear to all of you? and I'm repeating it again and again and again. Learning is very, very important. Okay? And one more important announcement. We did shares issued at discount in our last session, and I've already told you that if you all are having the printed copies, then with respect to section 53, shares issued at discount, okay, which is coming on page number, I suppose, 9.10, you need to refer to the soft copy which is available on the ICAI website. Why? Because there has been a change, or there is a revision in BOS publication also. You can also look at that, and students have also uploaded that a PDF of revision of BOS publication in your assignment part. Okay? So you can download from there, and further you will also be getting the question with respect to that amended part in your RTPs. Okay? So I expect that now there is no doubt. Yes, Surbi, you are absolutely correct that revising the topics again and again is definitely required. Okay? And it will not take much time. Okay? If you have a practice ना कि third chapter पे fourth chapter पे जाने से पहले पुराने वाले chapters को just एक pages को just go through the pages, you will never forget whatever is mentioned in the chapter. पहले वाला chapter like you should not do ना कि chapter number 9 पे आ गए हो, पुराने वाला सारा भूल गए हो. This should not happen, है ना? So उसके लिए क्या करना है? See, now you are doing chapter number 9, ठीक है? So whenever you sit to revise chapter number 9 or to learn chapter number 9 ना, पुराने वाली chapters को भी ना मॉड्यूल से या जहां पे भी आपका नोट्स है ना, just flip those pages, है ना? एक आध डेफिनेशन बोल के देख लिया, एक आध आप कुछ क्वेश्चन करके देख लिया, you will be very much confident कि अच्छा है, मेरे को ये सब याद है. ठीक है सुरभि? ठीक है? So here we will take a quick break of 10 minutes, and after the break I'll be starting with another important topic, which is what? Cash and cash equivalence. ठीक है? So a break of 10 minutes. Okay, so students, I hope you all are back after the break. And in the break, I was going through your replies or your messages. So many of you are saying that, ma'am, your techniques are appearing to be very helpful and the summaries are helping in revising the chapter, the entire chapter in one go. ठीक है students, you can benefit from making the summaries, but हाँ देखो hard work तो करना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है, so start working hard, ठीक है, and smartly. Make summaries, pick keywords, highlight the keywords, do the way you like, but start learning. ठीक है, so the next topic that we'll be covering is, today we have completed borrowings and trade receivables. Now we are starting with cash and cash equivalents. ठीक है, so cash and cash equivalents. See, cash and cash equivalents like cash in hand, है ना, bank balance, current account, ठीक है, your FDs, your checks in hand. See, all these are what cash and cash equivalents, and these are the most liquid assets. And students, these can readily be convertible to cash with let's say insignificant value risk. ठीक है, but along with this, these are very much prone to what misappropriation. ठीक है, it can always happen that the cashier uses the cash for his personal purpose and then puts it back. ठीक है, so these are very much prone to misappropriation. So tell me, prone to, is there a need for the auditor to remain alert all the time, to apply utmost professional skepticism? Hana? So cash and cash equivalents, since these are the most liquid assets, these are readily convertible to cash, the chances of these being misappropriated is very high. So auditor needs to apply what professional skepticism all the time. And students, tell me, if I start with all these assertions with respect to existence, completeness, tell me, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say that you need to check the cash of an organization? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? So I need answers. क्या लगता है, कौन सा ऑडिट प्रोसीजर, लाइक क्या करना चाहिए? कैश को चेक करना है तो वो कैसे चेक करना चाहिए, बताओ. मैनेजमेंट को बता दें कि मैनेजमेंट, हम 31 मार्च को ना कैश चेक करने आ रहे हैं, हम 28 मार्च को कैश चेक करने आ रहे हैं, बताओ. क्विकली टेल मी. अब तो आई हैव गिवन अ हिंट ऑल्सो. So I'll wait for another 5 seconds, then I'll start. So auditor needs to give special care towards the verification of cash. And what is that special care? That the element of surprise while he's checking the cash should be present. ठीक है, अगर वो already management को बता के जा रहा है कि management on this date I'll be coming, ठीक है, then students, there is no certainty that the cash which is shown to him by the cashier, by the custodian of the cash, that is genuine cash that was actually held by the custodian. है ना, इट माइट हैपन ना कि आपने मैनेजमेंट को बताया कि चलो कैश सरप्राइज से कल कैश को चेक कल करते हैं, तो कैशियर कैन ऑलवेज he can add on the cash which he may have misappropriated for his personal use, है ना. तो element of surprise होना ही चाहिए. And yes, संदीप, पार्थ, सुरभि, खुशी, यू हैव आंसर्ड इट करेक्टली कि सर एंड रोहन कि सरप्राइज चेक होना चाहिए. सो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, सो सी वी सेड दैट चांसेस ऑफ मिस एप्रोप्रिएशन ऑफ कैश बहुत ज्यादा है. ठीक है. And students, you will see then when we are discussing the various audit procedures ना, बहुत प्रैक्टिकल लगेगा आपको, बहुत ज्यादा लॉजिकल लगेगा कि हाँ अगर मेरे को भी करना होता चेक करना होता कैश तो आई वुड हैव आल्सो डन द सेम थिंग. ठीक है. एंड यू विल सी दैट व्हेन यू विल बी एक्चुअली कंडक्टिंग द कैश वेरिफिकेशन, आप भी यही सब करोगे एक्चुअल भी, प्रैक्टिकली भी यू विल बी परफॉर्मिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स ओनली. ठीक है. सो व्हाट वी हैव डन दैट ऑडिटर को स्पेशल केयर देना है किस चीज पे कि कैसे इन्वेस्टिगेट करना है कैश को, और उसके लिए क्या करना है, सरप्राइज एलिमेंट शुड बी देयर. ठीक है. सो सरप्राइज एलिमेंट, सो इट माइट हैपन कि 31 मार्च को तो कर ही रहे हो आप चेक. ठीक है. 31 मार्च को करोगे ये तो मैनेजमेंट को पता ही होगा ना. what can you do is after 31st March, ठीक है, अभी तो आप ऑडिट कर रहे हो ना, लेट्स से 30 जून तक, बीच में सरप्राइज चेक करो ना विदाउट टेलिंग द मैनेजमेंट दैट विल बी कंडक्टिंग सरप्राइज चेक ऑफ कैश, है ना. तो परफॉर्म ऑल दोस थिंग. ठीक है. नाउ माय अदर पॉइंट, सपोज there is a cashier in the organization, there is a petty cashier, है ना, कुछ ब्रांचेस भी हैं तो ब्रांच कैशियर भी है. ठीक है. और इम्प्रेस्ड बैलेंस भी एम्प्लॉइज के साथ. व्हाट इज इम्प्रेस्ड बैलेंस? दैट इज अ फिक्स्ड अमाउंट इज बीन गिवन टू द एम्प्लॉइज. उसी में से हो सकता है दे आर गिविंग फॉर पेटी कैश, है ना. एंड एज इन व्हेन दिस बैलेंस रिड्यूसेस द एंटायर अमाउंट इज व्हाट, रिफंडेड. ठीक है. सो रिफंडेड एज इन द एंटायर अमाउंट इज देन अगेन गिवन सो एज टू bring it to that balance which has been given as impressed balance. ठीक है. So अगर ऐसे बहुत सारे कैशियर है, tell me first situation is what, cashier of the company, let's say Mr. Ram, इसके पास मैं चेक कर रही हूँ आज, let's say on 26th मार्च. ठीक है. पेटी कैशियर के पास जो कैश है मैं 27th मार्च को चेक कर रही हूँ. ब्रांच कैशियर्स जितने भी हैं उनको मैं 28th मार्च को चेक कर रही हूँ. और जो भी इम्प्रेस्ड बैलेंस है एम्प्लॉइज के साथ, जिसमें से लेट्स से वेजेस दिए जाते हैं या लेट्स से जिसमें से ट्रैवलिंग एक्सपेंस बियर होता है, तो वो मैं चेक कर रही हूँ 29th मार्च को. इज इट अ वाइज डिसीजन? और इफ आई चेक ऑल द कैश साइमल्टेनियसली, or is this a wise? So this is my first situation and this is my second situation. So quickly write first और second कि बहुत सारी कैशियर्स हैं, उन सबको इकट्ठा चेक करूंगी तो अच्छा रिजल्ट आएगा, तो अच्छे से पता वेरीफाई होगा कैश, या सबको अलग अलग भी चेक कर सकते हो. लॉजिकल थिंकिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड, नथिंग एल्स. So Menon is also saying that check by surprise. ठीक है. नाउ माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, 1 और 2. सो मेनी ऑफ यू आर सेइंग साइमल्टेनियसली. देखो अगर आप 26 को यहाँ पे कैश चेक करा है कैशियर के बाद, तो इट माइट बी पॉसिबल ना कि वो ही वाला कैश पेटी कैशियर को दे दिया कि आप अब इसको पूरा कर लो. पेटी कैशियर के पास जो कैश था वही वाला कैश ब्रांच कैशियर्स को दे दिया, वही वाला कैश इम्प्रेस सिस्टम में रख दिया, है ना. सो इट इज बेटर टू चेक देम साइमल्टेनियसली. ठीक है. सो इट इज बेटर टू चेक देम साइमल्टेनियसली. ठीक है. फर्दर द कैश शुड बी वेरीफाइड व्हेन द कैशियर इज प्रेजेंट. उसके सामने चेक करो ना, एंड ही शुड बी मेड टू साइन कि कितना कैश है, कितना डिनोमिनेशन ऑफ करेंसीज है. ठीक है. सी इफ कैशियर इज नॉट प्रेजेंट, ही कैन ऑलवेज से ना कि ऑडिटर इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द शॉर्टफॉल, कि इतना कैश नहीं है, आई वाज नॉट हियर, कैश ऑडिटर से तो मिसप्लेस नहीं हो गया कैश, है ना. सो कैशियर शुड बी प्रेजेंट एंड दीज आर व्हाट ऑल वेरी जनरल वेरी लॉजिकल पॉइंट्स. सरप्राइज एलिमेंट्स होना चाहिए, जितना भी कैश है एक साथ साइमल्टेनियसली चेक करो, एंड कैशियर शुड बी प्रेजेंट. ही शुड बी मेड साइन द स्टेटमेंट व्हिच हैज बीन प्रिपेयर्ड अलोंग विद द डिनोमिनेशंस की कौन कौन से हैं. ठीक है. लेट्स से अगर कोई रफ कैश बुक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मेंटेन करती है डेली बेसिस पे, ठीक है, तो उसको टैली कर लो with the final cash book. सिंपल. ठीक है. सेकेंडली लेट्स से अगर कोई टेम्पररी एडवांसेस दिए जाते हैं एम्प्लॉइज को, टेम्पररी एडवांसेस, सो सी कैश में दिए जा सकते हैं ना, हो सकता है देयर आर नंबर ऑफ वर्कर्स, डेली वेज वर्कर है, ठीक है, दे नीड सम टेम्परेरी एडवांसेस की आज लेट्स से मेडिसिन लेना है या कुछ भी लेना है, सो इफ टेम्परेरी एडवांसेस आर बीन गिवन तो वेदर दीज आर ड्यूली authorized and properly recorded or not, ठीक है, and then it says cash sensitivity analysis कर लो auditor. What is cash sensitivity analysis? देखने में नाम the name is appearing as it कि कुछ technical सा है, कुछ भी नहीं है. You need to compile all the cash receipts and all the cash payments on every month basis. ठीक है, कितना कैश रिसीट्स आया, कितना कैश पेमेंट्स आया एवरी मंथ में, ठीक है. ट्रेंड को देखो, whether the trend is fine or not, it is usual or is there any unusual variation, ठीक है. और अगर कुछ unusual variation है from the normal trend, ask the management to give you the brief description की why there has been anything unusual. Simple. And last but not the least, it says obtain BRS, बैंक रिकंसिलिएशन स्टेटमेंट ले लो, ठीक है. देखो that it should be signed by the authorized personnel, ठीक है. Then it says that you need to obtain a BRS with respect to all the bank accounts, ठीक है, and see what is the client's process and periodicity of preparing BRS. कब वो BRS बनाते हैं, क्वार्टरली है, हाफ ईयरली है, मंथ ईयरली है, कैसे वो कब बना रहे हैं BRS, ऑथराइज पर्सनल साइन कर रहा है नहीं, एंड व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस, एंड ऑब्टेन इट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ऑल द बैंक अकाउंट्स. टेल मी, इतना समझ आया, ठीक है. तो अभी तक हमने क्या देखा है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू व्हाट, द एग्जिस्टेंस, द कंप्लीटनेस. तो सबसे पहले क्या किया, सरप्राइज चेक करना है, एक साथ साइमल्टेनियसली करना है, कैशियर शुड बी प्रेजेंट, साइन भी करवाना है, ठीक है, डिनोमिनेशंस पे भी साइन करवाना है. रफ कैश बुक है तो उसको टैली करो फेयर कैश बुक से. टेम्पररी एडवांसेस हैं, ऑथराइज्ड होना चाहिए, प्रॉपर्ली रिकॉर्डेड होना चाहिए. कैश सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस, दैट इज कंपाइलिंग व्हाट कैश रिसीट्स, कैश पेमेंट्स मंथ वाइज. ट्रेंड को देखो, इफ देयर इज एनी वेरिएशन आस्क द मैनेजमेंट टू प्रोवाइड यू विद अ ब्रीफ डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड ऑब्टेन BRS विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ऑल द अकाउंट्स, ठीक है, कि साइंड है या नहीं. व्हाट इज द client's process and periodicity of preparing BRS. Very simple, ठीक है. Now the next topic is with respect to, particularly with respect to verification of BRS, bank reconciliation statement. With respect to verification of BRS, what all the auditor has to do, ठीक है. Now quickly tell me, do you remember how the BRS is prepared? You must have done this in your foundations. Send in your replies quickly. There are certain reconciling items, like checks issued but not presented for payments, like checks deposited but not credited by bank. Quickly tell me whether you have done this or not. I'm waiting for your replies. So first of all, when the auditor is verifying the bank reconciliation statement now, so he needs to see that whatever balance, bank balance has been taken, it should conform with the bank confirmation or the statement that has been provided to the auditor, ठीक है. It should be tallying with the bank confirmation or the statement. Then auditor needs to check all material reconciling items. Students, I'm waiting for your reply. See, why am I asking whether you remember how to make BRS? Because with respect to each and every item of the BRS now, so students are saying yes, ma'am, we have done in foundation. Okay, so with respect to each and every item that appears in your BRS now, we'll be saying ki auditor ko wahi check karna. Okay, so once you apply your knowledge of foundation here now, you will be able to know as to how to verify. And for this, let me just take you through the module itself. It is very beautifully explained in the module. So ये तो हमने देख लिया कि BRS के लिए क्या करना है, all bank accounts के लिए लेना है. ठीक है, एंड व्हाट इज द क्लाइंट्स प्रोसेस एंड पीरियोडिसिटी एंड ऑथराइज पर्सनल से साइन होना चाहिए, ये तो देखना ही है, ठीक है। अब वेरीफाई कैसे करना है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टैलिंग द बैलेंस एज पर बैंक बुक टू द कंफर्मेशन और द बैंक स्टेटमेंट, सिंपल, ठीक है। नाउ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू चेक्स इशूड बट नॉट प्रेजेंटेड फॉर पेमेंट, ठीक है, दिस इज वन ऑफ द रिकंसाइलिंग आइटम ना, तो चेक्स हैज बीन इशूड बट दीज आर नॉट बीन प्रेजेंटेड, सो व्हाट कैन ऑडिटर डू, he can check the statement of subsequent period. ऐसा हो सकता है ना कि 31st मार्च तक तो it was not presented, but अप्रैल में it was presented, तो subsequent period है ना, जो भी है उसमें देख लो ना, हो सकता है उसमें present हो गया होना, and it has been cleared by bank, simple, ठीक है। If any of the check has become stale, that is 3 months or more months have lapsed since the issue date, 3 months के लिए ही a check is valid ना, उसके बाद it becomes stale ना, so that should not come in BRS, it should be taken back to the liabilities there, simple, ठीक है। Now with respect to another reconciling item, that is checks deposited but not credited by bank, ठीक है, so आपने deposit किया है पर बैंक ने credit नहीं किया, तो deposit slips देख लो ना, है ना, एंड सब्सिक्वेंटली बैंक स्टेटमेंट देख लो ना कि बाद में तो बैंक ने क्रेडिट नहीं कर दिया है, बैंक वो 1 अप्रैल में तो नहीं कर दिया है, ठीक है। एंड इन केस एनी ऑफ द चेक्स हैज नॉट बीन क्लियर्ड बियॉन्ड रीजनेबल टाइम, तो मैनेजमेंट से ब्रीफ डिस्क्रिप्शन ले लो ना, मैनेजमेंट से पूछ लो ना, मैनेजमेंट क्या बात है, ये वाला चेक आपने डिपॉजिट किया था बट इट हैज नॉट बीन क्लियर्ड, इस वाले क्लाइंट का जिसका ये चेक था रेवेन्यू रिकग्निशन है या नहीं, वो पार्टी आएगी या नहीं, या ये डाउटफुल है, ठीक है, it has not been clear, ठीक है। Then it says that if any of the amount has been debited or credited, कुछ भी interest है या कुछ भी expense which has been debited or credited by the bank, तो उसका treatment देख लो ना, and if you feel that any of the adjustment is to be done, ask the management to do the same ना, management नहीं करता है तो qualify your report, है ना, if it is so material then you can always qualify your return, report, ठीक है। So clear and simple, tell me is it clear, BRS simple है ना, अगर if you just recall as to what was the format of your BRS ना, then you can make your answer, draft your answer very easily, ठीक है। Now with respect to direct confirmation procedure, and now तो you all must have been masters with respect to direct confirmation procedures, है ना, why, because we have done this in chapter number 3, उसमें तो डिटेल में किया ही है ऐसे 505 में, then we did it with respect to borrowings, है ना, we did it with respect to banks, है ना, बैंक से अगर कोई लोन वगैरह लिया या ट्रेड रिसीवेबल से, एंड नाउ वी आर अगेन डूइंग इट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू व्हाट, योर बैंक बैलेंसेस, ठीक है। सो इट सेज दैट, सिंपल है, जस्ट लिसन इट एज अ स्टोरी, ठीक है, you will be able to imbibe as to what I'm saying. See, so direct confirmation procedure में क्या है, if any bank balance is there, है ना, तो उसके लिए do one thing, contact directly with the bank, ask them as to what amount of the client is being held, ठीक है, and obtain it with respect to all the account balances as at the period end, ठीक है। अगर कोई discrepancy है तो क्या करोगे, मैनेजमेंट से बोलोगे ना, या written explanation from the bank भी ले सकते हो ना, ठीक है। इन केस नो रिप्लाईज इज रिसीव्ड, ठीक है, आपने बैंक को लिख के दिया दैट बैंक व्हाट इज द बैलेंस, है ना, लेकिन आपको रिप्लाई नहीं मिला, तो सीधा ऑडिट रिपोर्ट पे जाना है क्या, नहीं, वी परफॉर्म ऑल्टरनेट प्रोसीजर्स, तो क्या ऑल्टरनेट प्रोसीजर हो सकते हैं, व्हाट फर्स्टली व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन आस्क द मैनेजमेंट दैट मैनेजमेंट डू वन थिंग, आप मेरे सामने ही ना ऑनलाइन बैंक स्टेटमेंट निकाल के दे दो, sit with management and ask them कि मेरे को ऑनलाइन बैंक स्टेटमेंट निकाल के दे दो, because I'm not getting a reply from the bank, simple. Secondly, you can do one thing, जो भी बैंक ब्रांच है ना, मैनेजमेंट के स्टाफ के साथ अपने किसी पर्सनल को भेज दो ना, in order to get the bank statement, ठीक है, बैंक रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा है ना, send someone to the bank to collect the bank statement and management के स्टाफ के साथ भेज दो, simple. And lastly, it says that valuation में, वैल्यूएशन कैसे चेक करोगे, यही सब देखोगे कि करेक्टली अमाउंट आ रहा है नहीं, एंड इन केस एनी फॉरेन करेंसी इज बीन हेल्ड, तो AS 11 के हिसाब से whether as per the applicable FRF it has been restated in the books of accounts. Simple. So let me just take you through the module and then we'll be doing the disclosure requirement. ठीक है? So BRS हमने कर लिया है ना? So let me just कैश इक्विवेलेंस होते क्या है, कैश इन हैंड होता है, करंट अकाउंट होता है, मार्जिन मनी अकाउंट्स होते हैं, कैश क्रेडिट, फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट्स, ये सब होते हैं, लिक्विड होता है, रेडिली कन्वर्टेबल होता है एंड इनसिग्निफिकेंट वैल्यू रिस्क होता है जब कन्वर्ट कर रहे हो. तो एट द मोस्ट प्रोफेशनल स्केप्टिसिज्म, व्हाई? बिकॉज दीज आर वेरी मच प्रोन टू मिस एप्रोप्रिएशन. तो क्या क्या कर सकते हो इन ऑर्डर टू सी द एग्जिस्टेंस, ठीक है, एंड इन ऑर्डर टू सी व्हाट द कंप्लीटनेस, ऑडिटर क्या क्या कर सकता है, the following audit procedures. First of all, special care किसको, that there should be what surprise element should be there, है ना, surprise check should be there, ठीक है. Then if there are more than one cash balance, example cashier, petty cashier, branch cashier या impressed balance है, all of them should be checked simultaneously as far as practicable, so that shortage in one balance is not made good by transfer of amount from the others, ठीक है. And then cashier should be present, he should be made to sign the statement prepared containing details of cash along with denomination. Why? Because if he is absent, he may hold the auditor responsible for shortage of cash if any. Simple. रफ कैश बुक है तो उसको आप चेक करो कैश बुक से एंट्रीज करेक्ट है नहीं. इफ एनी टेम्पररी एडवांसेस, this is what I owe you, ठीक है. If any such chits have been issued to the the employees that they owe इतना amount to the company, तो उसको क्या चेक करना है, whether it is authorized or not, recorded appropriately or not, and perform cash sensitivity analysis. Compile करो summary किसका cash receipts का payments का each month पे, analyze करो trend, कोई variation है तो management से पूछ लो ना, ठीक है. एंड BRS ऑल बैंक्स के लिए लेना है. क्लाइंट का क्या प्रोसेस है, पीरियोडिसिटी है, एंड ऑथराइज्ड पर्सनल ने साइन किया नहीं. सी आई एम जस्ट highlighting the keywords and I'm just also saying the keywords, ठीक है. connecting words I'm using what my simple English और हिंदी, ठीक है. keywords में as it is बोल रही हूँ. so this is the way you need to learn also, because whatever you are going to learn you are going to put on the papers, and whatever you are going to put on your answer sheets will fetch you marks, ठीक है. so learn like this way कि keywords को ही आप learn करो, और connecting words अपने कोई भी simple English और हिंदी, like whatever you feel comfortable while learning you can do that, ठीक है. so BRS we have seen कि पहले बैलेंस देख लो, फिर मटेरियल रिकंसाइलिंग आइटम्स है वो देख लो, स्टेल चेक का आ जाएगा आपका, और कोई डेबिट क्रेडिट चार्जेस हैं या कोई इंटरेस्ट है तो उसका चेक कर लो. अगर एडजस्टमेंट होना है मैनेजमेंट को बोल दो, मैनेजमेंट एडजस्ट नहीं करता है देन सिंपली क्वालिफाई योर रिपोर्ट इफ इट इज वेरी मच मटेरियल एंड परवेसिव और नॉट, ठीक है. देन डायरेक्ट कंफर्मेशन प्रोसीजर में हमने क्या देखा था, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ask them directly, ठीक है, कि कितना बैलेंस है, and this should be done with respect to all the balance account balances, ठीक है. और अगर कोई डिस्क्रिपेंसी है तो कंपनी को, मैनेजमेंट को बोलो ना, देखिए व्हाट इज द डिस्क्रिपेंसी, इन्वेस्टिगेट करें एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन दे, ठीक है. एंड देन 100% कंफर्मेशन आपको लेना है, एंड नो रिप्लाई इज रिसीव. तो क्या करना है, एडिशनल टेस्टिंग कर लो. कैसे करना है, अग्रीइंग द बैलेंस टू बैंक स्टेटमेंट रिसीव्ड बाय द कंपनी, है ना. जो बैंक स्टेटमेंट जो बैंक है दैट इज नॉट गिविंग बैंक स्टेटमेंट टू यू डायरेक्टली ना, पर बैंक कंपनी के पास तो होगा ना, उस वाले बैंक स्टेटमेंट को रेफर कर लो, और इंटरनेट ऑनलाइन लॉग इन टू अकाउंट इन ऑडिटर्स पर्सनल प्रेजेंस, कि मेरे सामने आप ऑनलाइन स्टेटमेंट निकाल दो. क्यों मेरे सामने, बिकॉज फिर मैनिपुलेशन के चांसेस नहीं है ना, एज इट इज निकाल के आपको दे दिया, ठीक है. सेंडिंग ऑडिट टीम मेंबर टू द बैंक ब्रांच along with the entities personnel to obtain balance confirmation from the bank directly. Simple. और वैल्यूएशन में क्या देखना है, in addition to the procedures performed above, वो वाले सारे तो करने ही हैं, ठीक है. Auditor should ensure that all banks holding foreign currency have been restated at the closing exchange rates as per the applicable FRF. As simple as that, ठीक है. Now with respect to disclosure, these disclosure requirements are also very simple, ठीक है. So what is the line? Now you must have learned it. Ensure whether the following disclosures as required under Schedule 3 Part 1 to the Companies Act 2013 have been made. What disclosures? See, the company needs to mention it like this, ठीक है. Cash and cash equivalents. सी वेयर इज इट गिवन, कंपनी को कैसे पता चलेगा, शेड्यूल 3 रेफर करेगा ना मैनेजमेंट, वैसे ही है या नहीं, ऑडिटर विल सी दैट, ठीक है। कैश एंड इक्विवेलेंस एंड इट शैल बी क्लासिफाइड एज बैलेंस विद बैंक्स, चेक्स, कैश ऑन हैंड, others. Earmarked balances, what is earmarked? I told you when we were doing reserves also, that is reserved, है ना। if any amount has been reserved for a particular purpose, for example your unpaid dividend, वो पे करना है ना, ठीक है, उसको आप एज अ बैंक बैलेंस तो नहीं दिखा सकते ना, तो earmarked balances should be shown separately, ठीक है। if you have taken any borrowings and any margin monies or securities are kept, तो उसको भी एज अ बैंक बैलेंस होना दिखाओगे। so balances with banks to the extent held as margin money or security against the borrowings guarantees, they also needs to be shown separately. Why? Because these are kept aside for some specific purposes. Repatriation restrictions, if any, in respect of cash and bank balance shall be separately stated. What is repatriation restrictions? See, when you are converting foreign currency into local currency, ठीक है, there might be, repatriation is what, converting the foreign currency into local currency, so there might be certain restriction, ठीक है। the foreign currency account, it may have a restriction that itna minimum balance is to be maintained or anything like that. So if any such repatriation restriction is there, that is when you are converting your foreign currency into local currency, then if any restriction is there, that is to be stated separately. And bank deposits with more than 12 months maturity shall be disclosed separately. Your FDs, okay, your deposits, these are to be shown separately. Okay, so with this we have done our cash and cash equivalents, which is very, very simple. Okay, so for all those who are saying, ma'am, this is a lengthy chapter, yes, it is, but this is the easiest chapter. You just need to read the chapter once with complete concentration, make summary notes, and then you can always revise from the summary notes. Okay, and students, if it is not possible for you, let's say some disclosure is there, okay, uske liye summary banana is not possible. Why? Because the summary, the disclosure are already given in a summarized way only na, so you can just learn from the module itself. Uske liye summary mein aisa na ho ki summary bhi aap as it is bana do, जितना टेक्स्ट लिखा हुआ है उतना ही समरी बना दो, नहीं, समरी इज टू बी मेड जहां पे आप कीवर्ड्स पिक करके लिख सकते हो, ठीक है, एंड देन यू कैन ऑलवेज रिवाइज फ्रॉम देयर, ठीक है। सो टेल मी वेदर कैश एंड cash equivalence is clear or not. So today we have covered 3 topics, that is borrowings, trade receivables, and cash and cash equivalents. And the last topic that I'll be covering for today is what, inventories, ठीक है। Now quickly tell me, अच्छा पहले तो क्विकली टेल मी कि तीनों टॉपिक्स क्लियर हैं या नहीं। आई एम वेटिंग फॉर योर रिप्लाईज। Send in your replies after you have replied for this question. Now with respect to, chalo, good. So I can see many of you are saying, ma'am, crystal clear. That's good. Okay. So my next topic is what, inventories. Okay. So my next question to you is, tell me with respect to existence of inventory, which essay comes to your mind? I need answers from maximum of you. We have already done essay in great detail in chapter number 3. So if you have to verify the existence of inventory, कौन सा essay mind में आता है? First is this. Second question, if inventory is kept with third party, तो कौन सा essay mind में आता है? Sandeep has written the name also. Very good, Sandeep. And he has written it perfectly, the way it is meant to be written, like the way it is to be written. So I'm waiting for your replies. ठीक है. अब now second, what was my question? अगर confirmation लेना है warehouse से, so which essays come to your mind? Which essay come to your mind? And which AS comes to your mind? Accounting standard भी लिख दो. And your inventories verification is done there. ठीक है, ऐसे 501 is absolutely correct. Tell me the accounting standard when I tell you that you need to verify inventories. I'll wait for another 10 seconds, then I'll start. Students, which accounting standard comes to your mind? So many of you have answered correctly. AS2, man. Okay. So what are inventories? See, inventories are what your current assets. They are very much current assets, which are either held for sale or in the ordinary course of business or in the process of production for sale. That is, I can say fixed finished goods or the work in progress, or for consumption in the production of goods and services, that is the raw material. Okay? So inventories can be of finished goods, of work in progress, or the raw material. And AS2 says that the valuation of the inventory should be at lower of cost or net realizable value. And this policy should be applied consistently. And if there is any change, then the same should be what disclosed in the financial statement. Simple. Okay. Now, just listen to the entire inventory as a story and the entire picture. If you remember, I've drawn this diagram. This was the inventory in chapter number 3, Hana, and this was the management. This was the persons who were staff of the management who were conducting the inventory count, Hana. So just try to remember, recall all that thing, visualize what we have discussed. Okay. So existence के लिए क्या करना है? First of all, who is responsible for inventory count? The management. So auditor will see as to what is the entity's plan with respect to inventory count. Okay. And auditor will participate in that inventory count with the management. Okay. So participate करना था. If you remember, I told you कि जाना है और चाय पी के आ जाना है क्या? नहीं. Auditor will observe the employees as to how they are conducting the inventory count. Auditor will see that all the items are tagged, है ना? Tagging हुई है उस पे. That is quantity कितना है, expiry date क्या है, ठीक है? So everything should be mentioned, and whatever inventory count has been done, it should be supervised. So whether appropriate supervision by the management is there or not, and whatever information has been given on tags ki itna quantity hai, itna bags hai, so auditor will reconcile them, है ना? जो भी टेस्ट काउंट हुआ और जो भी टैग्स पे है उसको रिकंसाइल करना है. इफ देयर इज एनी डिस्क्रिपेंसी तो मैनेजमेंट से पूछना है कि व्हाट इज दिस. ठीक है. एंड व्हेन द ऑडिटर इज ऑब्जर्विंग, व्हेन द ऑडिटर इज व्हाट ऑब्जर्विंग, he need to be very alert to what, that it might be possible that there are what damaged or obsolete stock, or there is what empty boxes, है ना? हो सकता है ना कि boxes are kept but these are empty. अब auditor ने सब कुछ तो नहीं चेक किया है ना, so इसीलिए auditor will perform what test count also. ठीक है. फिर if there is any difference with respect to the physical stock which is available and the recorded stock, तो investigate करना है, and the personals who are conducting the inventory count, who is supervising, इन दोनों को क्या बोलेंगे कि भाई साइन कर दो जो भी आपका inventory count हुआ है. सिंपल है ना. And if the inventory count system is what periodic, है ना, कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एवरी ईयर एंड पे करता है तो आप भी ईयर एंड पे जाके उसको अटेंड करोगे ना. एंड इफ इट इज व्हाट परपेचुअल लाइक योर ग्रोसरी स्टोर्स वगैरह में परपेचुअल इज व्हाट कंटिन्यूअस, कि जैसे जैसे इन्वेंट्री खत्म होता जा रहा है वैसे वैसे अपडेट होता जा रहा है ना, लाइक योर ग्रोसरी स्टोर्स, तो उसमें यू कैन कंडक्ट इट एट इंटरिम डेट्स. सिंपल. कोई डाउट है? नहीं है, मेरे को पता है नहीं है. ठीक है. देन auditor will have to see specifically, if you remember when I explained to you all the assertions with respect to P&L item, है ना, and balance sheet item, है ना, जब general assertions at the starting of the chapter किया था, then I told you कि इन examples को specifically read करना and your inventory verification will be done. तो वहां पे it was mentioned that any of the inventory which the client is holding on behalf of third party के behalf पे, let's say client ने कुछ hold किया हुआ है for job work purposes, that should not be included in our inventory, in the client's inventory. Why? Because this has been held on behalf of the third party ना. third party की inventory है ना, आपने तो job work के लिए hold किया है ना. and any party which is been held by third party on behalf of client, so irrespective of the location ना, वो तो आप include करोगे ना. completeness वो तो आप include करोगे ना अपनी inventory में, because this has been held by the third party on behalf of the client. So very very important. You may get a true false MCQ, कुछ भी आ सकता है ना. ठीक है. Further it says that with respect to cutoff, ठीक है, that whether the inventory which was supposed to be recorded in the appropriate in this year, whether it has been recorded or not. Again it says that you may refer to the shipping documents. जो वहां पे date आ रहा होगा, तो you will be able to know whether that what is the correct accounting period with respect to the inventory recording. ठीक है. Simple. Then it says that various analytical review procedures in terms of SA 520 can also be done. कैसे? Simple. Inventory turnover ratio कर लो ना, cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Vertical analysis कर लो ना. vertical analysis क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं होता. inventory as a percentage of total assets. ठीक है. टोटल एसेट्स क्या होते हैं? इन्वेंट्री, ये वो सब, एंड देन टोटल एसेट्स आते हैं ना. तो वर्टिकल एनालिसिस, वर्टिकल है ना ये, तो वर्टिकल एनालिसिस इन्वेंट्री एज अ परसेंटेज ऑफ टोटल एसेट्स देख लो. इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो देख सकते हो, बजट स्कोर, एक्चुअल इंफॉर्मेशन को कंपेयर कर सकते हो, एंड नॉन फाइनेंशियल डेटा लाइक द मेजरमेंट, द वेट्स, और इन सबको आप चेक कर सकते हो. ठीक है. इफ यू फाइंड दैट देयर इज एनी मैथमेटिकल mistake or any such thing is there, so you can always discuss with the management. And once again I like to repeat here that any inventory held by third parties to be included, that if it is held on your behalf, that is client's behalf, and if it is held on behalf of the third party, it is not to be included. Simple. Very simple. Now with respect to right, है ना, कि उसका राइट है या नहीं. इन्वेंट्री बैलेंस शीट आइटम है ना, तो राइट्स देखना है ना, तो उसके लिए क्या करना है? परचेज इनवॉइस देख लो, परचेज रिक्विजिशन, परचेज ऑर्डर्स देख लो ना. द परचेज इनवॉइसेस, ऑर्डर्स, इट शुड बी इन द नेम ऑफ द क्लाइंट, है ना. कंसाइंड गुड्स देख लो ना, जो आपने कंसाइन किया उनको भी देख लो ना. कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स होंगे ना उससे रिलेटेड, कंसाइनमेंट अग्रीमेंट्स होंगे ना उससे रिलेटेड, जस्ट चेक देम ना. Examine that invoices are held in the name of the client, and with respect to significant item, you can always, like if any of the inventory is held by third party, you can always obtain what confirmation from the third party, कि third party हमें लिख के दे दो कि you have इतना quantity, इतना existence quantity, and इतना, this is the condition of the inventory of our client which is which is with you. ठीक है? So the authorized personnel of the, let's say, warehouse, he will give this to you in writing. ठीक है? Simple. Now with respect to valuation AS2, ठीक है, FIFO or the weighted average basis, and with respect to raw material, with respect to work in progress, and with respect to finished goods, how we can verify the valuation, we will just discuss. ठीक है? And after that is disclosure. But before that, let me just take you through the module, because those two topics which are left, I'll be covering from the module itself. ठीक है? So inventory क्या होता है? Current asset होता है. ठीक है? किस लिए होता है? Held for sale, that is what finished goods. Yeah, in the process of production for sale, that is what work in progress. Or consumption in the production of goods or services for sale, that is what raw material. AS2 के हिसाब से करना है valuation of inventories valued at lower cost or NRV. ठीक है? consistently है नहीं, change है तो क्या करना है? disclosure. अब इसके ऊपर आप you will not spend time in learning all these. एक बारी पढ़ लिया आप, ये याद है आपको. By default, you will not be able to forget this, because this is imbibed in your blood ना, कि हाँ AS2 ये बोलता है, इन्वेंट्री ये होता है. बट ये देखना कि लिखना क्या है, ये तो देखना पड़ेगा ना. तो उसके लिए वन रीडिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड. अब आपको पता है कि इन्वेंट्री क्या है, ये लिखना है. AS2 क्या कहता है, ये लिखना है. चेंज है तो क्या लिखना है. ठीक है? एंड एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए वी हैव सीन एंटायर SA 501. सो एंटिटी का क्या प्लान है, कंसाइंड गुड्स जो है वो अलग से रखे हैं ना, ऑडिटर को पार्टिसिपेट करना है, टेस्ट काउंट करना है, उसके लिए क्या क्या करना है, इंक्लूडिंग ऑब्जर्व करो, एश्योर करो कि टैगिंग हुई है अच्छे से. ठीक है? एप्रोप्रिएट सुपरविजन है, प्रॉपर अमाउंट्स मेंशन है टैग्स पे, टैग्स जो है प्रॉपरली कंट्रोल्ड है, रिकंसाइल्ड है. टेस्ट अकाउंट्स जो है उसकी समरीज देखो, डिस्क्रिपेंसी है मैनेजमेंट से डिस्कस करो, क्लाइंट पर्सनल से. ठीक है? एंड ऑब्सोलीट स्टॉक के लिए स्टे अलर्ट ऑल द टाइम. एम्प्टी बॉक्सेस तो नहीं है कि आपको ऑब्जर्व तो कर रहे हो आप, तो आपको दिख रहा है कि बॉक्सेस हैं, बट ऐसे तो नहीं है, दीज आर एम्प्टी. लास्ट 5-10 रिसीविंग रिपोर्ट शिपिंग डॉक्यूमेंट्स देख लो ना, यू विल बी एबल टू वेरीफाई द कट ऑफ. ठीक है? कि जो भी इन्वेंट्री आया है वो इसी साल में आना चाहिए था ना. थर्ड पार्टी के साथ है तो एक्सक्लूड कर दो. ऑब्सोलीट है, डैमेज्ड है, वो नहीं आना चाहिए. ठीक है? ऑल स्टॉक शीट्स जो है इट शुड बी कंसीडर्ड इन द इन्वेंट्री. एंड कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट डिफरेंसेस हैं, मैनेजमेंट से पूछ लो ना वेरिएंसेस के लिए. पीरियोडिक है तो एट द एंड ऑफ द पीरियड करोगे ना. परपेचुअल इज व्हाट कॉन्टिन्यूअस. आई गिव यू एग्जांपल ऑफ ग्रोसरी, तो फिर तो इंटरिम डेट्स पे कर सकते हो ना. ठीक है? कोई जॉब वर्क के लिए थर्ड पार्टी के साथ है तो उसको देख लो ना, या आपका लाइक क्लाइंट का इन्वेंट्री इज लाइंग विद थर्ड पार्टी, दैट इज टू बी इंक्लूडेड. थर्ड पार्टी का इन्वेंट्री इज लाइंग विद यू फॉर जॉब वर्क, इट इज नॉट टू बी इंक्लूडेड. ठीक है? Then with respect to analytical review procedures, कौन से calculations comparisons हो सकते हैं, तो जो ARP थे ना वो सब हो सकते हैं. देखो, compare with the industry averages, budgets, trend analysis, कौन से inventory turnover ratio कर लो. वर्टिकल एनालिसिस, नथिंग बट इन्वेंट्री बाय टोटल एसेट्स, बजट से कंपेयर कर लो, नॉन फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन से कंपेयर कर लो, परचेज सेल कट ऑफ कर लो, डॉक्यूमेंट, वेयरहाउस रिकॉर्ड, सब कुछ चेक कर लो ना. टैग्ड इन्वेंट्री अगेन, अरिथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी चेक कर लो, रिकंसाइल कर लो फिजिकल इन्वेंट्री को विद द रिकॉर्ड्स, जनरल लेजर में कितना आ रहा है. ठीक है? रिकंसाइल इन्वेंट्रीज व्हिच बिलोंग टू द क्लाइंट आर हेल्ड बाय थर्ड पार्टी लाइक ट्रांसपोर्टर, वेयरहाउस एंड port authorities. Goods received on consignment basis have been properly segregated. अगर आपने रिसीव किया उसको सेग्रीगेट कर दो, सिंपल ना. ठीक है? Then we saw with respect to rights, आप ये देखो ना, ये सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो हैं, कंसाइंड गुड्स जो हैं, इन सबको देखो ना, इट शुड बी इन द नेम ऑफ द क्लाइंट. जो भी कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस है, परचेज डॉक्यूमेंट्स है, कोई कोलेटरल सेकेंडरी अग्रीमेंट्स तो नहीं है, कंसाइनमेंट अग्रीमेंट्स है, परचेज कमिटमेंट्स है. ठीक है? आपने कहीं से रॉ मटेरियल परचेज कमिटमेंट किया हुआ है, कोई अग्रीमेंट साइन किया हुआ है, तो देख लो ना, आपको पता चल जाएगा कि कितना रॉ मटेरियल आया है. इनवॉइस शीट शुड बी इन द नेम ऑफ द क्लाइंट एंड कंफर्मेशन ले लो ना, इससे 501 फॉलो कर लो. इन्वेंट्री थर्ड पार्टी के पास है तो उनसे कंफर्मेशन ले लो, ऑथराइज्ड पर्सनल से, सिंपल. ठीक है? सो नाउ 2 topics are left, which is what valuation and disclosure. Valuation has been divided into 3 parts. First of all, it says कि FIFO या weighted average पे होगा. ठीक है? Based upon the industry. Then it says कि raw material consumables का कैसे करना है valuation, auditor को कैसे चेक करना है, work in progress को कैसे करना है, and finished goods को कैसे करना है. ठीक है? ठीक है. So with respect to raw material and consumable, ठीक है, what will auditor see? Auditor will have to verify. See, when I tell you na, that just you have to learn here the language as to how to write. So the words like ascertain, consider, test check, follow up, ये वाले सारे वर्ड्स लिखने हैं ना, है ना. सारे इफ यू राइट वेरीफाई दिस, वेरीफाई दिस, वेरीफाई दिस, उसकी जगह इफ यू राइट असर्टेन, है ना, एनालाइज, है ना, एंड इंक्वायर, टेस्ट चेक, यही सारे वर्ड्स ही तो यू नीड टू सी ना. असर्टेन अगेन, ठीक है. सो यू कैन इंक्वायर, इंश्योर, यही सारे वर्ड्स ही तो हैं. So this basically I was telling as to how to write the answers, ठीक है. So raw material में what will auditor see? That what are the elements of cost? What all has been included in the cost? If standard cost is being used, what is the basis of calculating standard cost? Compare it with the actuals, and if there are any variances, analyze it, ठीक है, and see whether the same has been accounted for in the accounting records, ठीक है. Then see the cost price of the raw material, how? By looking at the invoices, ठीक है. Then with respect to damaged and obsolete inventory of raw material, ठीक है. So when realizable value is being considered, the realistic realizable value should be taken into account. When the NRV is to be considered, then realistic जो really मिलेगा, क्योंकि डैमेज्ड ऑब्सोलीट स्टॉक के लिए तो कुछ नहीं मिलेगा ना, तो दैट इज नॉट टू बी इंक्लूडेड. सो रियलिस्टिक नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू शुड बी कंसीडर्ड. सिंपल. सेम वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस के लिए भी क्या है कि हाउ द वेरियस स्टेजेस ऑफ प्रोडक्शन ऑफ वैल्यू एडिशन इज कैलकुलेटेड, एस्टिमेशन बेसिस पे है. सो व्हाट इज द बेसिस ऑफ सच एस्टिमेट? कैसे देखते हो कि वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस हो गया है, कितना वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस है, कैसे देखते हो वैल्यू एडिशन कितना हो गया है? मैनेजमेंट एस्टिमेट लगाता है. सो व्हाट इज द बेसिस? व्हाट आर द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ कॉस्ट, है ना. ओवरहेड्स अगर इंक्लूड हुए हैं, व्हाट इज द बेसिस, ठीक है ना. सो दैट ऑडिटर विल सी, एंड ऑडिटर विल इंश्योर दैट मटेरियल कॉस्ट एक्सक्लूड द एबनॉर्मल वेस्टेज फैक्टर. एबनॉर्मल वेस्टेज फैक्टर लाइक योर लॉस, if inventory is lost or there is a theft, so that should not be considered, ठीक है. In the material cost, abnormal wastage factor should not be considered, it should be excluded. Simple. With respect to finished goods for resale, again inquire about cost. What costs are included? If overheads are included, it should be on normal cost and reasonable, and it should be disclosed in the financial statement. Simple. Then it says that cost or NRV, whichever is lower, पे आपको value करना है. And if there are any obsolete, damaged, slow moving, तो उनका पॉसिबल रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू क्या है, ठीक है. और ये कैसे देखोगे ऑब्सोलीट है, डैमेज है, नहीं? यू कैन आस्क द मैनेजमेंट टू प्रोवाइड यू विद द एजिंग स्प्लिट ना, कि कितना पुराना इन्वेंट्री है. भाई कोई इन्वेंट्री अगर 365 डेज से भी पुराना है तो उसका वैल्यू कंडीशन भी तो देखना पड़ेगा ना. सो फॉलो अप करो दैट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू डैमेज्ड एंड ऑब्सोलीट इन्वेंट्री उसका कितना रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू है, ठीक है. देन इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो कैन बी कैलकुलेटेड. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एनवायरमेंट्स हैं तो ओवरहेड्स देखो ना, दैट ओनली डायरेक्ट लेबर, डायरेक्ट मटेरियल ओवरहेड हैज बीन इंक्लूडेड, एंड सी दैट करेक्ट एप्लीकेशन ऑफ कॉस्ट और एनआरबी whichever is lower has been considered. Simple है ना. बहुत सारी जगह पे you must have found that there is a repetition, ठीक है. Why? Because raw material, work in progress, finished goods है तो inventory ना, तो ultimately cost और NRV whichever is lower तो आएगा ही ना, ठीक है. So we have done what valuation also here. So students, you can always get a question that with respect to valuation of raw materials and consumables, what all audit procedures the auditor needs to perform. With respect to valuation of finished goods or goods for resale, what all audit procedures auditor needs to perform, ठीक है. Slow moving, obsolete के लिए क्या करना है? Aging report लेना है ना, ठीक है. उनका देखना है ना realistic net realizable value क्या है, ठीक है. Now before starting with disclosure, please send in your replies whether inventory वाला part is clear जितना भी हमने किया है, and are you finding it easy? Because it is easy, ठीक है. Please send in your replies. This is the last topic for today, and most probably on Wednesday sir will also be coming, and he'll be telling you various concepts, like various parts of this chapter also. He'll be discussing with you various parts of this chapter. So Don't miss that lecture, and that is an opportunity for you to learn from such a learned person, है ना? So do attend the next lecture. वैसे तो you need to attend all the lectures, but there you'll be getting a chance to interacting with him and asking all the queries to him in live session. ठीक है? So what have I asked you? That please send in your replies whether whatever we have done so far is clear or not. And then the last topic, which is what? Disclosure of inventory, which is very simple. See again this line. Ensure whether the following disclosures as required under Schedule 3, Part 1 to the Companies Act have been made, and whereby the auditor will be seeing whether the following disclosure is made or not. So students are saying कि जितना लेंदी है उतना ही इजी है. खुशी saying this. ठीक है. अब and Pooja is saying that costing wala part we have already done in valuation wala part of inventory we have already done in costing. So we just need to just read as to what is written. So students, now I think you are in a position to understand why I am saying that don't cram the general answers. कि ठीक है अगर asset आता है liability आता है तो ये general answer लिख देंगे, asset आता है P&L आता है income expense आता है तो ये वाला general answers लिख देंगे. नहीं, I know many lists are available, है ना, कि ये shortcuts हैं ये लिख देंगे. नहीं. Why? Because that cramming will require your hard work. You will be required to spend time, and that cramming answer that you are writing after cramming, the general answers that you will be writing now, that won't fetch you good marks. Whatever is written in the module you have already done. कंपनीज एक्ट में किया है, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स में किया है, कॉस्टिंग में किया है, कुछ ऑलरेडी एसेज में किया है. तो उसको जस्ट यही तो देखना है ना कि जितना भी किया उसमें से क्या लिखना है. दोबारा से कुछ लर्न तो नहीं करना है ना. ठीक है. सो प्लीज स्टूडेंट्स हैव अ टेंडेंसी टू लीव दिस चैप्टर और टू राइट जनरल आंसर्स. डोंट डू दैट. दिस इज द इजीएस्ट चैप्टर, आई अश्योर यू. ठीक है. And follow the technique that I'm telling you. Just आज हमने क्या किया है? We will be covering 4 topics ना. अभी तक we have done 3 topics. This is the 4th one. तो कितना टाइम लगेगा? 45 minutes. Make a summary and all the 4 topics are done. ठीक है? And done. They are done and done. That is, you will get 100% marks in those questions if you make the summary. तो general answers नहीं लिखने हैं. ठीक है. This is what a professional exam, BCom exam नहीं है students. It is professional exam. हाँ, students are saying shortcut के लिए ज्यादा टाइम लगता है. हाँ, तो general answers मत करो. ठीक है. Because ये आपको already आता है. ठीक है. So okay, last topic for this session, that is required disclosures for inventories have been appropriately done. So what is this? Whether inventory has been classified as raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, stores and repairs, loose tools and others. Simple. Then whether goods in transit has been disclosed. ठीक है. If there are certain goods in transit, आपने warehouse पे भेजे थे, वो ना ही warehouse के पास है ना ही आपके पास है, goods in transit है, तो whether that has also been considered and disclosed separately under each head. And last but not the least, the mode of valuation shall be stated. कैसे value किया आपने. ठीक है. FIFO पे किया है, weighted average पे किया है, for each class कैसे आपने valuation किया है. कितना simple है ना. ठीक है. So with this we have finished our 4 topics, and if I start from the very first topic of this chapter, that is, पहले हमने देखा कि general assertions क्या है with respect to the P&L item, with respect to the balance sheet item. Then we went on to discuss share capital, जिसमें share issued at premium section 52, shares at discount section 53, sweat equity 54, reduction of capital section 66, and then the disclosure requirements of the equity, whereby I told you that promoters का shareholding pattern is very very important. बाकी सब भी है, but I'm just highlighting कि मतलब वो तो you will have to learn. ठीक है. Reserves and surplus में we did difference of what reserves, revenue and capital reserves. Then we saw the existence, completeness, valuation. बहुत simple था, remember. And then we did the disclosure requirement, है ना. Borrowing, we did borrowing, then we covered our trade receivables. Then today we have done what? Our cash and cash equivalents. And the last topic that we have covered is inventories. So students, we have covered till page number, just a minute, till page number 47 as per the new module, which is a soft copy that is available. Okay. So I want all of you that apart from the notes part that I have left, which we'll be discussing in the next session, apart from that 47 page number tak this chapter has been completed, almost half. Okay. But those notes are going to take time. That is why we have further 4 sessions for this chapter. So what you have to do before coming for the next session is, first of all, refer to the revision in the BOS publication that I have uploaded in the assignment part, and that is also available on your ICAI website. Okay. Secondly, till page number 47, till page number 47, whatever we have done, please learn that. Okay. And learning these topics is not going to be very tough. Why? Because I'm repeating it again and again. You have already done all these topics. It is just a recapitulation. In fact, you'll be able to revise your accounting portion, your law portion also. Okay. So hoping that you all will follow the techniques, and let me just have a query for the last 2-3 minutes. Then we will end this session for today. So Pooja is saying, ma'am, summary banana is very easy as compared to learning the general answers or the shortcuts. Send in your queries if you have. See, Pooja, I have told you na, that module mein there is ample of space. You can make your summaries here. अच्छा, summaries are not to be made in the exam. Exam में summary मत बना के आ जाना. वहाँ पे तो you will have to write the answers now. This summaries I am asking you to make only for learning, for learning, for remembering. है ना? Language जो use करना है वो तो आपको पता है, keywords pick करने हैं, and you need to write a proper descriptive type of questions. ठीक है? वहाँ पे summary से you will not fetch good marks. Let me just have a look at all the queries. Keep on sending, keep on posting whether you have understood today's session. Are you facing any difficulty in learning or in making summaries? Please let me know. I'll definitely help you out. These summaries are not to be made in the exam. I'm repeating it again and again. Let me just have a look at the queries. Ria Goyal, you are saying that you have posted your query on some mail, but you haven't received the reply. Ria, abhi I haven't received the mail. Okay? So either you can wait for the time till I get the mail, or you can do one thing, you can send in your query again here. Okay? So students, hoping that you have understood. Okay? We will end the session for today, and again I'll request you that till page number 47, till the topics which we have covered with respect to chapter number 9, start learning. ठीक है? अगर पुराना वाला भी रह गया है तो start learning from this chapter ना. ठीक है? So thank you and a good night, and see you on Wednesday.